for LNG was so big.
LNG je favorit.
BLG, so much damage
No,
at
jako
that
je,
Dragon
no.
fight to be able to get them right back into it.
Yeah, I still
no.
think though there's kind of a difference in approach to the mid
To je
laners here.
šupe, díky za 35.
Things like the Tristana and the Yone
Ne, já mě není
kind of
35.
a foot in the past when it looks at the meta.
Ale já
Showmaker
si
has
z
just
nějakého
gone
důvodu
head
myslím,
first
že
into
DK
the
vyhrajou, ale
the
nevím
Sylas.
proč.
So I think it'd be interesting to see how the mid lane is
Já to
approached
neumím
here and how the
pojmenovat.
pieces around that supported, because even the fact that you're putting this priority ban on towards like the Rumble and the Yone, you're still looking at things like the Ashe, the Orianna, these big picks that can be very strong, especially with a Nocturne ban. I think D+K are saying, hey, look, we don't actually want to look at a potential Ori first pick, but want to remove a Nocturne Orianna combo from LNG on the next rotation.
Yeah, wow, they're really going off the recent plays there from LNG, right down that ban list. All three of them
Nocturne
keys
Jax.
that they used versus BLG. Like you're saying though too, I'm also looking at some like just tournament-wide power picks. The Skarner has been such a big front line for jungle right now. Really popular. Definitely expect that to be some early priority and really continue throughout the tournament.
All right, so alongside that Rumble, Yone, and Nocturne banned out by D+Kia, you can look over at LNG. You can see the Jax and the Gnar banned out there as Ziggs makes it through. This has been a priority ban so far in Worlds, and now it's picked by DK.
Ještě tam můžou piknout Vi s tím, jestli nepiknou LNG Vi teďka.
The best Ziggs in the LPL, so I was going to say you don't probably want to let that slip through. So not surprised to see D+Kia pick that one up very quickly for themselves, but it does open up Showmaker now to have a plethora of different champions he can play in mid lane, because you can go for that AD mid with the Ziggs locked in.
All right, so we're gonna grab the early blind Renekton, very good blind champion here, and then Skarner actually pairs really well with Ziggs too, so maybe you actually want to take that away earlier in the draft, since Skarner can like group people up for Ziggs ulti. We've seen that used.
Vi musí vzít, no, musí. Vi Ziggs by bylo moc good.
But Weiwei's going to take that one away and deny it, so maybe the Skarner is now the answer on the opposite side.
Okay, let's see how they want to go ahead and approach this one. Seeing some front line, seeing some dive threat on the side of LNG. DK thinking about a couple of options here in the jungle.
Co lepší, Maka nebo Skarner? Maka je lepší se Ziggsem podle mě. Protože máš dáš dva ulty na long range a trefíš někoho vždycky. Protože Maokai za ultí a dívej, víš, co udělá enemy team? Když Maokai za ultí, tak se všichni grupnou, aby jeden člověk bloknul Maokai ult a všichni se schovají za ním a tím pádem Ziggs trefí 5-man ult, že jo? Smolder. Smolder je taky OP.
All right, so the Smolder continues here.
Jen je taková je Warring, no.
Those nerfs still has been performing, still
LeBlanc
has
do
been showing
Smoldera.
up. And when you have the Vi that you talk about, it's either a like
LeBlanc
a
je
LeBlanc
good do
or an
Smoldera.
Ahri. It's these AP kill-oriented mid lanes, and with the hover over the
A i do
LeBlanc
Ziggsa
right
to je
now,
dobré.
possible
Oni vemou
favor there
Kajsičku
for Scout,
raději.
but again, there are multiple
Ale Kajsa by
options
byla
that you can
4-5
still run with
zabanovaná,
the
no.
Vi. Lots of mid lane
Kajsa je
AP
dobrá do
champions
Ziggsa.
combine with that really successfully. So they actually drop the mid lane pick in favor of the full-on dive. You get Gala's Kajsa. So that is a mega pick for Gala himself, but also with the dive that they're already showing.
And this was a pick that Gala brought out a lot in the LPL, was one of the proponents that still brought it out into the Ezreal and a lot of these picks, so not surprised to see him go back towards it, and I think it's the right call. It's still something that can do very well on the dive, but also just if you land that missile, immediately jumping on towards the Ziggs, trying to burst them out, and I think trying to get rid of, or trying to find something that can support that, like a Nautilus, could work out really well here for Hall.
Yeah, anytime Kai'Sa is not going to have to face like super aggressive bot lanes, it's going to be really nice to be able to get to that mid game, high kill potential, and there we go. Some of the champs we were talking about, even though they were trying to distract maybe with the hover on LeBlanc, the Ahri that we also mentioned, such a deadly pairing on this patch, especially with the Vi.
Yeah, the mind game's not going to work out there. As you can see, the K'Sante and Poppy banned out by LNG here in the second half. So no K'Sante versus Renekton top lane staple matchup that appears all the time everywhere. Rakan also going to be banned away here. They're trying to respect further investment into that full-on dive comp. Seeing the three options already locked in on LNG, they'll get rid of it. But LNG are not asleep at the wheel. There's plenty of other good options for engage and dive here in the support role, and Rell is one of those.
Yeah, very strong, but also just waiting to see exactly where Smolder is going to go, because there's still some windows where you can send a top lane for King in if you want to. I don't think it's great into the Renekton, but at least you get to see that maybe there's an opportunity to bring out something like an Orianna instead of going for the LeBlanc, because with the options that you have with the Rel engage and then that Vi setup as well, there is some windows to just burst out a Smolder or a Ziggs in this later portion of the game with that Orianna combo.
All right, the Alistar locked in. This is a pretty standard response, I think, to Rel because of how easy it is to use the headbutt, knock the champion away when she tries to go for the crash down. It limits her engage options, makes her have to play around different angles. We'll see what they want to go ahead and round this draft out with now. Still need to see this one last pick from DK. What's it going to be? Hovering a couple of different things. Back and forth, back and forth.
Okay.
The Olaf locked in.
Oh baby, I love it. Whenever you see, like lots of CC to be able to ignore, it looks like a good Olaf angle, and you've got like the AP bombs coming over the top of your head to kind of support your movement forward too.
The Sylas, though, locked in for scouting the opposite side. This is kind of sick, because you look at, oh, well, I got the Alistar, which is just a great ultimate for the Sylas to take. Even the invulnerability now coming through from CC on the Olaf can work out perfectly. And in dire situations, you still got Bomb, you still got a Ziggs Bomb. These are great ultimates for Sylas to steal.
Oh yeah, Alistar ultimate is historically the best ulti for Sylas to take. Whenever Alistar is overwhelming in the meta with his presence, Sylas becomes an answer because of how powerful he is with the Unbreakable Will. I love seeing how fast they are ready to slam this pick in, because they're also slamming it in against Showmaker, who is the only Sylas so far played in the tournament.
Yeah, Scout says, if you can do it, I can do it too. Really juicy ults to steal, as both of you have already talked about, that just further complement the theme that they already had going with the entire draft being mega dive. Now you add the Sylas, multiple options to steal. A Maokai ultimate to set up your crazy dive would be beautiful as well. It's just like, oh my goodness, this one will be an action-packed game to start out.
Yeah, especially when you look at LNG yesterday against BLG, they were scrapping for every Void Grub, they were scrapping for everything they could get their hands on. So when you've got a composition that is 4 melees, you kind of want to get involved very early in these fights and try and snowball. So this is going to be a banger.
What we've seen of these teams so far, they look like they like to scrap. Backstage before this game, I was telling you guys, I want to see this series be a bar fight on Summoner's Rift. And based on the compositions we're seeing here after the first draft, I'm hoping for nothing else right now as we're into game 1 in this
Olaf Renekton, Vi Maokai, Smolder, Sylas, Kai'Sa, Ziggs, Alistar, Rel.
And holy moly, we may not get a lane swap, thank the Lord.
Dude, Olaf and Sylas.
All right, we're already winning, boys. We are already winning. As we're taking a look at what everybody's doing here at the start, pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, the reason why it's such a dub for me in this game to not have a lane swap is like, we're going to get some really brawly lanes. Especially as a jungler, you love to see volatile lanes because you get options for where to go influence. Olaf versus Renekton on top side will be very volatile. They're threatening some very fun level 1 stuff here, both Sylas and Rel, possibilities of jumping over the wall, but they do not go for it. Ward in the tri-brush there.
Oh, crash down. Hung just gonna get not a whole lot more than that, really. Moana aiming, still just trying to get back away from this one. Gala and Hung still continuing to push forward, dropping the ignite, forcing aiming to flash back away to the safety of the tier 1 turret.
Yeah, aiming still has his teleport, so he should be able to kind of catch these waves and TP back into lane, but he does want to wait until he at least kind of works up towards something like a tier to get that reset, so trying to force him out early to deny that quick reset is working out well for LNG if they can try and get him out.
Yeah, it's really big here for LNG to take advantage of the Alistar Ziggs lane at level 1, take away that flash, take away any big possibilities there. Now, like, Gala and Hung are going to have a really, really nice free time, even though their jungler is pathing away from them. Both junglers are pathing towards the top side, towards that really volatile matchup that we're all looking forwards to, the Olaf Renekton on the top side. So you got to expect the junglers will definitely intervene very early up there. Meanwhile, of course, that Sylas getting pushed in early by Showmaker, so nothing to see there. We will, of course, also be keeping track of Showmaker's stacks on this.
You have to.
You have to, especially because it's a melee matchup, and so you should be getting a lot of stacks very early on the Smolder.
But this is the surprising thing to me. if you were to tell me that these two players were coming into the day's matchup, I thought these two champions would be flipped. I thought Showmaker would want to avoid the AD carries because it wasn't really his wheelhouse for the entirety of summer. Whereas for Scout, he was bringing out the Tristanas and looking good on things like the Lucian. So I'm kind of surprised to see Showmaker be the one that's bringing out this motor. But the LCK has had great showings on this motor pick, so not surprised to see it brought out fully.
All right, Kobe, you said you were expecting junglers here in the top side for the volatile matchup. Zika jumping forward, trying to lock up King in here. Flashes in for the Ruthless Predator, and Wei is there. Vault Breaker, playmaker, first blood over to Zika.
I love that. Anytime you see those volatile melee matchups, and the Olaf pushing in early, of course, so Zika with the flash punishes so nicely
there.
Able
to
get the Vault Breaker across. Such a good setup. And dropping your top two camps there, you know, he doesn't have to fully finish off. It's really important for junglers to recognize wave state, and because of the matchup, and it's just an Olaf with Ghost, so it should be an easy stun setup. It's just nice to see like the versatility here to be able to react to the current wave state, and really nice punish.
Especially because DK had already spotted out with that ward on Raptors where Wei was. I think they just thought, oh, he's going for a full clear. I can crash this wave and get back. But Wei kind of catching them off guard, getting that early kill, going to help out massively for Zika.
Yeah, everybody always highlights like efficiency for junglers and like, oh, you need to full clear, you need to full clear. But that's a lot like solo queue where you can't rely so much on your teammates. And in this case, really, really good diversion there. So we'll see about the other side of the map as well. As you're going to have the cross Wei, of course, going all the way to the bottom to get the bottom Scuttle Crab as well before fully recalling.
Yeah, and you can see DK ready to crash this wave here into the bottom lane. Tier 1 turret. Hung and Gala should just be able to farm this up. No big problem. LNG still just enjoying the gold advantage from the first blood, but not really anything more, so there's no huge lane advantages popping up anywhere for any of the just matchups that you would expect them to be coming up from.
Yeah, I just want to see how the timing here is going to go for Wei, because you're down on this bottom side. You could immediately go for Dragon is Hung. Should you interrupt the reset? Yeah, nice here from Mohan. The Ziggs.
Oh, he wanted to use the Ignite to cancel the reset, but it wasn't fast enough. It got him during that last quarter second. So aiming still manages to get his recall, and now that's Summoner down for Hung.
And I think that was where they could have tried to look for some sort of pressure on towards push at the wave, maybe try and get an early reset, move up towards Void Grubs. But now that Aiming's back in the lane, he's going to be able to keep up this pressure. Gala's just a reset down. So trying to move up towards an early Void Grubs is going to be really tough for LNG now.
Other thing I'm looking at that's kind of tough for LNG, Scout has already used his teleport, and so always, you know, on Sylas, you're kind of like trading your health, trying to keep up enough CS and trying to stay in lane, but so much pressure from Showmaker here. Just spitting out fireball after fireball. They do force Scout back, and that is going to turn into, hey, there's no teleport on Scout. I've got the advantage here mid lane, pushed him in, chunked him out. We should be able to grab this dragon.
He crashed down there on the Mohan, but he's not a whole lot more worried about it than just that. He can walk that away as the rest of his team is continuing to just pick this Drake up. Bottom lane's job is to make sure that the enemy bottom lane doesn't rotate over, try to cause any trouble, and that's not going to go down. So Lucid can finish picking this one up, no problem, should be.
Weiwei's starting to get a little bit of an advantage for himself, though, because he's moved into DK's top side, stealing away the Gromp. I imagine could move over towards the Wolves or just immediately move back over towards the Void Grubs, which is what he's going to do with Sylas actually getting that push now that Scout has come back into lane, and Zika doing a good job of controlling Kingen. So it is going to be a trade, but even just the camp starting to tick over in favor of Weiwei.
Ooh, wow, Scout going in, looking for a little bit more on Lucid, but takes him down to 250, has to back away.
Yeah, and that's a really good, honestly, scouting play for him, where he's not really looking for the kill there. He's looking to make sure that there is no possible contest on these Void Grubs.
Yep.
You know, nice early use of the ultimate, get a big chunk onto the Maokai, make sure that DK are not going to have an option, because, you know, they did have a really early timing on the first dragon, so there was possibilities here, especially with, you know, Mohan reset here, and they are swapping up to the top side for DK with their duo lane, but already, because of that play, LNG secure their grubs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's unusual to swap Aiming to Moham up now, because yes, you can try and get some turret plate damage, or at least try and opt out of the matchup, but Zika actually can knock back a bit, but
yeah, he's fine.
This wave should still be picked up by Zika. He's going to be relatively okay. You can even see the rotation coming through from Hong and Weiwei just to make sure he's going to be fine on this, but you're just leaving Gala now to get free time.
Right, LNG's bringing in some backup. Vaultbreaker getting charged. Flash engage comes out from Hung.
Dobrý chain CC, ale má flash. Tady to je dobrý poke, dobrý poke.
Knocks him back into the river. The big bomb coming in from the Ziggs. Aiming needs one more shot, and Lucid's gonna get the kill credit. DK 1-0 in the scrap.
LNG tossed everything into the tree, but they couldn't chop it down. You didn't have the damage to follow through, and Zika just gets mowed down by Aiming and Moham in the mix.
Yeah, that was really good peel. Turn around. Lucid does not panic as they jump on him, immediately able to disengage and throw out his Maokai ultimate. And Aiming plus Mohan, keeping them at arm's length, allowing them to take down the extra kill for them. This one already spicy, boys, but very glad that is evened up as well. The only thing we're still a little bit worried about here, Showmaker's been stacking up quite nicely on that Smolder, so we will check back in on the mid lane. We'll see if Scout is able to pull off any really big plays on any steal away ults.
Also, I'm not sure what happened in the bot side. Gala ended up losing out in about 10 CS there as well. Was even going into it, but wasn't quite able to finish it out. So Kingen didn't burn Ghost or anything, but was watching top side. So nice job at least by Kingen to deny some of that CS away from Gala and put him behind as well.
All right, 12.7 to 13.6 thousand gold, 1K up for an LNG squad that also owns the first 3 Void Grubs. 2 minutes until that second set spawns. And honestly, the second Drake only being slightly mistimed with that means we could have something interesting go down, but most likely probably just a handshake trade on the objectives.
Yeah, I think this is where we're probably going to see a little bit more interaction between Weiwei and Scout, because even if you can just get that ultimate from Weiwei immediately on towards Showmaker, you can burst them out or start to burn some summoner spells. So getting those summoner spells out before a big dragon or a Void Grove fight are going to be really crucial. And when Scout has, again, just been such a strong focal point for this team, trying to get those resources onto him has always boded well for LNG.
Yeah, and then of course Gala, they're looking at trying to scale this Kai'Sa. He has the call, really trying to make sure that he will be able to cash in, get to his couple item breakpoints. And that's where your dive comp really excels, is once you're able to bring the Kai'Sa over to a lot of those skirmishes. Until then, like you're saying, you're going to see some of those Weiwei Scout combos, see if they can get some skirmishes, some engages. Pick people off as they're rotating between objectives, and we really get to live in that melee brawl world.
DK má lepší draft? Ani ne.
Just about to hit 10 minutes on the clock here as Gala and Hung head back down into this bottom lane. You can see their opponents are up slightly in terms of the gold. It is a +20 farm lead for Aiming on the Ziggs. This is a pick that has been banned a ton so far at Worlds 2024 in the main stage. Second highest ban rate overall. The fact that it went through this one, a little bit surprising. But when we look back at the draft, a big reason for that is a lot of targeted bans. We talked about how DK was aiming at all the stuff that LNG used to beat BLG. So when those specific strategies come out, the more general OPs get through. So I'm very curious to see what Aiming can accomplish with this pick as we go forward.
And of course,
Tipy, dobrý tipy, jo. Tady budou divovat. Tohle by měl být free dive s Alistarem. Ale on vyčistí vlnu, nechaj ho vyčistit vlnu, nenechaj. Nechali ho vyčistit vlnu. Silas vai? A tady nic neudělají. Ale Kai'Sa má 3 gruby a hituje bot turretu.
And they fully commit to this. They're like, second spawn of grubs, we're going to send everybody up to go for the tower dive first, but now the chase.
The immediate counterattack coming out from LNG with a Vi ulti into the follow-up from
Ty gruby chcou, vole, chcou je, všichni je chcou. Olafinho nemá flash. Nevím, podle mě flash je lepší. Buď musíš mít ghost flash, anebo flash TT. Celou dobu Kai'Sa hituje bot turret pláty, jo? Kolik vzala plátu? Tyhle budou mít 6 grubů. To je crazy. To je hodně dobré pro LNG. A Kai'Sa vzala 3 solo pláty.
Gala had just been farming on the bottom side, and they're still able to get their chase down counter kill. They're still able to get their grubs. Can they finish the last one?
Oh
no, they will not.
Ty vole, OK. Dobře ho chytli. Aha. Dobře ho chytli.
Incredible from DK, because I was looking at LNG going, oh, this is such a sick timing window. The reset came through from Kingen. We have the numbers advantage before the TP can come in. Let's take the fight. But then they're like patting each other on the back.
Reálně jako má lepší draft.
And suddenly DK come back.
Yeah, it was so big. And look at the mini map as this play starts. Gala's on bottom.
Tady je škoda, že jako vyčistil celou vlnu ten Renekton. Ale Renekton to vždycky dokáže vyčistit celou vlnu, pokud má full
And then Weiwei says, I'll follow up. Scout had gotten the early ult down on
Mohan, so then aby nedal ani ult a zabít.
And because you saw the smite used on that grub, he's not gonna have his next smite.
Ty vole, Kai'Sa first turret. Ty vole, tak to je huge, to je huge. Že i proti Ziggsovi vzali first turretu. Ale gold even, jo, jen drak, 5-1 graby, gold even. Zajímá mě ten Smolder, jak moc bude účinný. Smolder by měl být dobrý tuhle hru, no, jako máš tam Renekton melee, Vi melee, Sylas melee, Rell melee.
You can threaten on top side. You're in position to fight for Rift Herald, but Amin, I think, kind of has to open mid or top here because he still needs to try and match Gala, but can't really threaten.
To bude i dobré ten Smolder, no, tuhle hru. Uvidíme, jak moc dobré to bude. Kdo si myslí, že má šanci na výhru, pade teď. Reálně.
What, 500 gold separating the teams. Couple of good moves early on from both sides. Drake's tied at 1-1.
Vojta včera trhnul tvůj merch, víš to, jo? Viděl jsem. A chce poslat novej. On to nosí často ty trička, což mě těší mě to, on to fakt nosí, kámo, on to nosí, on má jenom jedno tričko a přijde mi, kdyby těch triček měl 5, že to fakt nosí často, ty triko.
Fairly simple with Amin opening up there.
Okay. See if we get a whole lot of trading back and forth here with just some of the poke tools being used. Gala firing off the Void Seeker, but bouncing bomb's not going to connect in response.
Dobře, ale tady měl trefit to kvéčko. Olaf by neměl vyhrávat proti Renektonovi, ne? Je dead.
Run, King, and run! Zika with the solo kill!
Zika played that so well. He jumped into the minions, got the last auto attack for his Fury.
Olaf by jako neměl vyhrávat, hej? Olaf by neměl vyhrávat proti Renektonovi, proto mě strašně překvapil, že piknuli prostě Olafa do Renektona. Proč tady pikovali Olafa?
Oh, where's Scout off to?
Okay, oh wait, Gala very low on HP, down to 150, having to try to get away from this with a killer instinct. Last bouncing bomb ain't gonna hit him. The AD carry from LNG.
Ale tady to intnuli, ježišmarja. Tady to intnuli, hodně to intnuli. DK. Wow, dobrá ult. OK. Hej, tohle je back and forth fightos. Back and forth fightos. Back and forth fightos. Back and forth. Back and forth. Back and forth.
They get their kill again. Cow down. LNG punished that dive attempt.
And LNG just caught DK off completely.
Sila speednutej.
From that top side of the Rift Herald pit down to where
Jako mají dobrý
DK
drafty LNG,
to
no.
come in and find Moham off kilter. So LNG doing some really fancy stuff here and getting that kill back.
Renekton vzal tier 2 na botu, ty vole. Těch 5 grubů je fakt šílený. To je hrozně šílený, že ty dokážeš prostě vzít celou turetu tak rychle s těma grubama.
Sometimes can be really hard, but Static Shiv does a lot, and then really nice ultimate and some jukes from him to keep himself alive. But once the Rage Blade is done, then you get to see Gala going way more offensive with it. And LNG, they have so many tools to start up these fights.
Well, how about this, Kobe? We got the Rift Herald still alive on the map, and in a minute and a half,
Gruby by měli nerfnout, trošku jo, no, nebo buffnout draky.
For that Rage Blade Kai'Sa to get himself involved in a little bit of PvP. LNG now up 2,500
gold ahead. Vemou mid turetu teďka.
Separating the two squads. However, that's going to be assisted here a little bit for the other side as DK manages.
Renekton, Vi, Sylas, Kai'Sa, Rell je dobrý teamfight. fight com, dobrý scrap com. Tady bude strašně důležité, jestli dokážou engagenout na Smoldera a Zixe. Pokud nedokážou engagenout na Smoldera a Zixe skrz Alistara Olafa, tak to může Smolder potahat, ale Smolder se musí feednout a mít hodně stacků.
Both on, the traditional carries that you expect from him, like the Zeri and stuff, but him really incorporating the Ziggs so heavily in regional finals, and now being able to steal it away and pull it out here could be the big difference maker. That big AoE on the item spikes here might be amazing.
Smolder má 127 stacků v 18. minutě, jak to? Jak to? Hej, on to možná... Jak to, že mají tak málo stacků, ten Smolder? Fakt nechápu Olaf pick do Renektona, fakt to nechápu. Jako wow, Scoutovič, straight up dead tady Mohan. Kdyby ten skočil normálně z Afriky. Wow. Ale je dead. Teďka dvojitý. On to netrefil? OK. Guys, tady s tím draftem. Renekton 1300 goldů ahead. Teďka jako všeobecně jsou strašně málo goldů, mají strašně. Tady teďka reálně by měli LNG forsovat fight za fightem. Pokud teďka budou forsovat fight za fightem, tak to hrozně stombolnou tu hru.
Yeah. Now I'm Alistar with damage.
Yeah. Now it's scary. All right, nice stuff from LNG here so far in game number 1. We've got another Drake secured for them.
Radiant se postarali emoty zase, že moc emotu nefunguje, nebo?
Yes, it is an LNG lead, but I'm not exactly expecting a 20-minute Baron attempt or anything of the like unless we get another big explosive fight beforehand that really decidedly goes one way.
Yeah, much more looking for LNG to try and
Gala může potájet na V9,
může. A really good dive fight that is not having to go under towers, it's a pretty good defense available mid lane here for DK. Their mid lane tower is still very healthy. They still have their flash on Showmaker, flash on aiming, and those are the two that you're really looking at, those critical summoner spells on DK, that if those get blown early, it's kind of step 1, and then step 2 for LNG, just the full send on their dive. So
jak teďka, aby vyhráli DK, potřebují držet hru do 4 itemů na Smolderovi. Až bude mít Smolder 4 itemy, tak to můžou reálně vyhrát. A uvidí se, jestli LNG bude forsovat fight nebo ne. Kolik? Je, on ho odhodil. Aiming ho odhodil. Aiming ho zachránil. Jaj. Tohle měl být free kill na Scoutovi. To posral to týpy. Ziggs ho zachránil, kámo. To je unlucky, to je hodně unlucky. Renekton TP. To fuck? Oni typujou jen, aby jako... Jo, typí na to, aby nedali Herald tier 2. No, 3k gold div, 2 draky pro LNG, 2,5 minuty pro draka.
1-4 setup that they've been using with Kingen on the side lane and trying to use Showmaker with aiming to threaten the tier 2 tower.
Smolder potřebuje fakt 3 itemy nebo 4 itemy, potřebuje 4 itemy, aby prostě mohl dát carry.
Showmaker on the Smolder, currently sitting at 167 stacks. That's honestly, gentlemen, not a lot for this point in the game. He's still going to need a couple of more minutes.
170 stacků jenom v 22. minutě. Kámo, co je? Showmaker to zase choukuje. No to je game over tohle. Málo stacků, permaforcou fight, LNG hrajou dobře, nechávají se engagenout. Smolder, já teď nevím, co tady prostě dělá, ty vole. Ty vole, mě je zlé, kámo. To je game over. Straight up, jako, hoďte tam ručník. Ty vole. No nic, lost. Ten Showmaker to hrozně choukuje. Smolder je hard do Silase, ani ne, hele. Není hard do Silase. No nic. Ale prostě Kajsa je mega good do Zixe, no. Bacha na to, jako ta Kajsička do Zixe, to by se mělo být. On tady catchne toho Zixe, což je mega huge. S Renektonem, to je huge jak svině. A tady Showmaker to úplně nagriefoval. A se mi líbí, jak Gala hraje, že nefokusuje front, ale že fokusuje Alistara a Smoldera, protože ví, že ten Maokai umře anyway. To jste viděli, že prostě reálně prostě místo toho, aby hitoval, normálně AD carry by tam hitovalo Maokaje a on ignoruje Maokaje a hituje prostě Alistara a Smoldera. Gala to hraje mega dobře, tu Kajsičku, no.
More than likely going to have this top tower be the main focus for LNG to push out and then start to set up a ton of vision in the enemy jungle. You can already see
Gandalf Cat je back! Chat! Postream Gandalf Cat pro všechny 7TV usery, jeden Gandalf Cat do chatu, aby jsme oslavili, že Gandalf Cat je back.
3-item power spike with a full dive team right in front of him. This one looks like, unless DK pull out some crazy magic, it is going to be very, very difficult for them.
Já když vidím Galu, jak hraje Kajsičku, jak bych si zahrál Kajsičku.
Into the best of portion of Swiss stage though, so definitely will have some more opportunities for DK.
But also I think it kind of just setting up a very strong point for LNG to say, hang on, no, we are a force to be reckoned with.
Už mi funguje Stream Elements.
A
už se chytnul. Tyjo, jako, ale víš, co je Worrying Trend? To, jak Aiming udělal chybu, umřel a jak to Showmaker naintil, tak to je ta pasáž té minuty, kdy to všichni naintili, to je hodně Worrying Trend, jako hodně.
And respect, right? Like we're talking about 3 players who are all still deathless nearly 25 minutes into the game. We're talking about a Renekton that you guys already touched on it. Yeah, we've got an Olaf counter pick that countered nothing. So there's not really a whole lot going on here, and even in the jungle, 0, 1, and 5 for Weiwei been critical for setting up a lot of these plays as LNG going to take
ale Nikolás, já bych měl lepší Kajsičku než LNG Gala. Jak to by nebyla úplně Gala Kajsa, když to hráš. Ne.
They're going to use it to try to force the play onto the tier 2 turret top, but DK holds the line for now.
Yeah, and the Renekton that you mentioned with the over 2,000 gold lead, by the way, against that counter pick, is hitting inhibitor tower right now. So being unanswered, the Ziggs bomb tries to push him off. The minions were still empowered by the Baron though, so they didn't all die down there either. And the Renekton pressure is going to be relentless while the rest of the team...
Yeah, there's not a whole lot left to lose it here in the top side jungle. As long as they have the tier 2, it ain't gonna matter now, but hold on, Gala and Weiwei are gonna keep pushing the issue further forward. Over the wall,
Smolder? Smolder? Má staky už. Hitnul staky ve fightu, takže je to huge. Ale nemůže nic. Tady je problém, že oni fakt potřebují 4 itemy na Smolderovi, no.
DK retreated to the castle. They drew up the drawbridge and were like, no, you don't get in here. So LNG, this quad melee composition couldn't get over the wall.
Čau, Brixi, kdy hrajou H2K, ježišmarja. Ale jako když mají Zixe na to, aby drželi tu hru inhibitory, aby drželi inhibitory. Probujeme s LNG, že LNG jako dobře forsujou fighty a objektivy. Že oni forsnou Barona a DK to nebudou mít jak ani srnout. Do té doby, než Smolder bude mít 4 itemy. Mickey Op, děkuji za ty rejničku, děkuji za podporu.
You know, DK, the Smolder is something we should touch on as far as these comeback hopes, even though
reálně by měli sforsnout Barona za minutu 30, dřív než Smolder bude mít 4 itemy. V momentě, kdy Smolder bude mít 4 itemy, tak to bude mega annoying.
It's really when you finally get your rapid fire though and you get the extra range. that those hopes will really start to bloom.
I do think we've seen a difference in the way DK have approached the Smolder, though, and we look at like Chovy or someone else who picked it up, because it has very much been a case of, hey, we are sending you to a side lane, you are picking up every stack that you possibly can.
Boys, budeme hrát dneska Vysašerorovku.
Grouped with the team like this, he doesn't go off to a side lane, and I think a lot of that has been trying to hard force onto a mid lane play, but it does mean that the stacks have been hurt as a result. So this Smolder hasn't really come online as quickly as you'd like to, and LNG now are getting to play through that fact.
Co jde signál? Vysaše priorita, protože to bylo za 1000 subů. Nebojíš se? Já už se nebojím. Já už se nebojím hororových her. Já už jsem veterán, dohrál jsem dva chaptery Vysáš a už vím prostě, kde na mě něco vyskočí. Kdy tam bude nějaký jumpscare. Můj tap je reálně 70, když tu hru hraju. Úplně v chillu. Já mám teďka chat tap 94, já mám vyšší tap, sledování Worlds a dokážu vám to, než když hraju hororovku. Já se totiž hororovky už nebojím. Sledujte.
Oh, hang on, no.
Yeah, never mind. Fight starting off. Wei jump into the back immediately, going after aiming. That's a flashback over the wall, trying to stay safe.
Počkej, ale tady Smolder. Smolder. To tady hrozně divenuli deep. Gala nemá flash? Tady to bude zajímavý. Kajsa nemá HP. Alistar má, teda Sylas má Alistar ultimátku, ale ten true damage. True damage od Smoldera. El Sniponino.
Still in the driver's seat.
DK got a little too hyped on their comeback potential there. They're like, Showmaker hit 250. Oh, we can go. We got some kills, but way too much to go over towards Baron. And then Scout able to use the stolen Alistar ultimate and another snipe.
Chat, proč mám 0 tap?
This is such a sick turnaround from Moham, because I want to watch as he engage comes through here. Flashing in to interrupt Hong, making sure that Hong can't get that big crash down, then sets up for DK to play in this choke point. Gala can't step forward because there's so many things that are just being tossed his direction, and that's that slow fight then playing through Kingen on this ulti Olaf to tear through LNG, but right as
Trvali, děkuji za 2 kilečka, nikdo neťukal na dveře. Ne.
Cow still here, and I have ultimate available, so he just immediately goes, thank you very much, I'll take that. Lucid, you're first to fall. And even watching Zika again, putting pressure on towards aiming, means that he doesn't really have a position to try and follow up, despite how low Scout goes off the back of this, and guns out, Cow's gone, and it's another.
Už je tam rapid fire. Máš Soulu.
From Gala right onto the Alistar. That Alistar was actually more of a help to LNG. Stolen ultimate and then kill him off with a couple of snipes there. Really nicely done from LNG to kind of stabilize what was possibly the first step in a big
a mně nejde ten tap? Jak to, že mi nejde ten tap? Tady to jede na těch hodinkách, mám 90.
It is very difficult when you're facing a team like this that has so much dive potential. As you can see, a really good toggle of vision here by the observers, but you're gonna have to expose yourself if you want to keep them off of this Baron, and so they slowly move up, trying to use the Maokai sapling. Temporary vision for themselves.
Well, the Baron might not have got claimed, but with the Dragon Soul now in the possession of LNG, their combat power is that much more.
Tohle je dost divný. Ale jestli ta hra bude mít dalších 20 minut, tak je to možná, ne, 10 minut, tak je to možná vinou pro DK. Ale nemají flashe teďka, takže actually teďka to prohrajou ten fight. Teďka je hrozně těžký vyhrát fight pro DK. Nebo neprohrát hru. Podle mě měli by asi nechat Baron. Měli by jim nechat Barona. Mají Zixe Smoldera na wave clear, takže když dostanou Barona, tak reálně. To ty pičo, co to je za damage od toho Zixa? Si děláš prdel? Tady mají free Barona.
Elkony potržítko 0 donate 100 korun český. Škoda, že Aphelios není hratelný. Chtěl bych ho někdy vidět na LoL.
Elkony, díky za kilečko. No, dostane buff příští patch, ale Aphelios je prostě buď OP nebo useless, víš? To je prostě champ, který buď bude pikovaný každou hru, anebo bude úplně k hovnu. A to jsou prostě x jumpů v té hře, kdy prostě jsou takhle, bohužel. Smolder si je postavil Zoniu, ok. Ale Elkony, díky za kilečko a vítej v točce. Jakmile Ziggs bude mít, on má benchy, aha. Měl by mít Zoniu, Imo. Oni nemají range na to. Problém LNG je, že nemají range na to hitnout inhibitor věže a sejmout ty věže. Takže oni potřebují Eldra, aby vyhráli hru. Takže ta hra bude mít 35 minut. Oni musí divenout, aby získali inhibitor, což nedivenout proti Ziggs, Smolder. Víš, že to je prostě takový, jako že oni fakt nemají siege. Takže tady můžou wave clearovat docela dost dobře. Ziggs a aiming. Že dle mýho ta hra bude mít 35 minut, no. A pak se na tom Eldrovi pozná. Jako pokud třeba se povede Lucidovi smajtnout Eldra, tak je to win. Co to bylo za damage? Co to bylo za damage od Renektona? Teď díky tomu získají turety. Modě? Co to je za Ziggs ult? Ty inhibitory jsou v poho. Hej, ta KSčka začíná hodně štípat. Dobrá Zonia. Ok, bacha na toho, nasila se. Nepříjemná situace. Tady by mohl, kdyby tady byl Smolder, tak ho zabijou. Smolder dead, Smolder Zonia. Po! Flash! Kve! Pojď! Showmaker, pojď! Flusej! Ty vole, close.
Is he finished yet though? Still hovering around, considering since he has that Ziggs ult that he could do some serious damage, but LNG routed, they are pushed back, but every single time they come knocking at this castle, more and more these structures are falling.
And more LNG
Ty vole, 13 goldy. Jako na to, jak byli LNG ahead, tak jim to trvá. Neforsli tam, musí forsnout Eldra, no.
Elder Dragon that's about to spawn, as we will go back to live shortly, is going to be pretty easy for them to set up a dangerous situation for DK. But here is that defense. So you're going over. Weiwei had another good Vi ultimate there, even as they were trying to disengage.
Dobrý zahraný. Ale teď zase nemají flashe na toho. Actually, tohle je good pro LNG, by the way. Je to good pro LNG, protože oni teď nemají flashe. Oni teď nemají flashe na Elder Fight. Což je velký problém. Za 17 vteřin. Tohle je hodně blbý. Ahoj, dostal jsem od tebe kýtnutej sub od Hyzeta. U Hyzeta, nemáš zač, šéfe? Davey, nemáš zač. Tohle je velký problém, nemáš Thunderspally. Takhle se už poukuje jak blázen.
But if you face check a brush on the way there, you also
instantly
almost
lose. Impossible.
DK trying to take the long way around, wrap up from the bottom lane. They shoot Mom out just because they think, what if LNG is already on the objective? They weren't, but now the Smolder ulti no longer being available for the upcoming fight puts DK at yet another disadvantage.
Nevím, still hanging around and waiting. Kámo, tohle je hrozně těžký, tady mají double flank. Musí engagenout. Rel je tady blok na ATF, game over. Game over straight up. Tady nemůžou nic dělat. Nemůžou. Ty vole, close, kdyby to tak nenaintili, tak by to ten Smolder možná potáhl. Maokai tam měl flash ultnout, flash dvojitý Včko dát na Renektona nebo na někoho.
Nexus turret. They'll make a statement 18-8, and LNG is up 1-0 in the first promo series of the quarterfinals.
Scout, deathless. Gala, deathless. LNG on top, 0-1 in their favor, taking the game #1.
DK speechless. That was an incredible performance from LNG. The fact that they were able to
LNG se tím vypadá hodně dobře, no. Nebo takhle. Early game měli dobrou, mid game měli dobrou. Mid-late game byl takový jako sus. Koris to, co jsi napsal, ty debile. Dobrý joke.
The change needs to come through how DK approached the early game, because it felt like they just didn't have any sort of push or ability to skirmish, which is where LNG started to take over.
Yeah, I mean, now they're in a spot where they're double banning Zika on the top side here, having to drop a lot of their draft priority into that. And
Yone,
still, you have to cover Yone. It's just been way too massive here.
Blue side má advantage, má no, má. Blue side je dost advantages.
You are banning this on blue side. Yeah. This should be a pick that you're happy to just first pick. Like we've seen Caps go for, we've seen other teams go for. This just says Showmaker doesn't want to go towards it.
Gala nebude hrát Zixe, oni nemusí first pickovat Zixe. Reálně by měli first picknout třeba Vi. Měli by first picknout Vi a oni LNG nevemou Zixe a oni pak vemou 2-3 Zixe.
It's not the name of the game, but that will be banned out alongside the Renekton and the Rumble that you guys talked about. Jax, Gnar, and Aurora banned out by LNG.
A nevím, proč to neudělali první hru. Oni první hru first pickli Zixe, že? Gala nebude hrát Zixe.
And so already to me that seems like it's going to set Showmaker up for one of those AP, threats that people want to see from him, rather than the AD carry. So really high priority there, kind of translates into a better pick for Showmaker. I think as well. So we'll see what
Camille blind
here from LNG. Very quick. Interesting if you go for
jako zabanovali Jaxa, takže to jako dává smysl, ale
Zika is just so confident. I mean, this tournament already is having an explosive start, but locking in Camille plus the Sejuani threat here is great.
Teď můžou vzít Zixe a nějakýho AD midaře zabanovali si ho náše, teda jako shit dost jiný. A můžou vzít Vi, Zix a můžou vzít Leona na botlane, anebo můžou vzít Answer do Camille. Měli by vzít Answer do Camille, actually. Smolder zase? Mohli by. Syndru vemou na Showmaker. Jako Smolder nebyl problém, tam byl problém, že to hrozně intili. Ale jako ne, actually, on měl strašně málo stacků na tom Smolderovi. Poppy do Camille na top lane, good. Answer do Camille na top lane, Poppy, boom, good.
Aiming back on that Ziggs here again as Weiwei is playing the Sejuani this time. Remember that in the game #1 draft, it was
Kajsičku vemou zase, protože Kajsa je good do Zixe.
For LNG and for Gala, and they're hovering it here again.
A Gala je mega good Kajsa.
Poppy a little bit though with the Kajsa lock-in, because that's now 3 dashing champions that are all potentially stopped by this steadfast presence. So I'm a little concerned.
Kasteři dělají vždycky z té Poppy, jakože zastaví to všechno.
You should be relatively fine. Still could give it to King if you want to.
Kajsa ul dostane stop od Poppy W, waaaaah, kamo váně hovno, vole. Co to smokuje, vole.
And they slam a bunch of it here again, with the mobility of Camille and with the ultimate of Camille, allowing them
jediný, co je problém, je, Sejuani taky neřeší, že dostane quest-stop od Poppy. Jediný, co tak Camille řeší, že dostane S-stop od Poppy. Ale furt je to playable. Ne, oni vždycky strašně z té Poppy dělají, že to je tak jako strašně broken, to dvojitý Včko, ale reálně její dvojitý Včko je silný, ale její nejvíc OP spell je ult. Dobře trefená ult před fightem nebo před objektivem je game winning.
But you can get Camille away from her own ulti. That's the escape, a yeet button. That's what you can use to deal with the Camille. Poppy has a yeet button. Ziggs has a very small one.
It's smaller.
It can kind of work if she's at the edge. But there are a couple of options there with something like that. The Smolder banned away by LNG, so they want to make sure they don't have to play against that eternal stacking here. Again, even though they beat it in the first game, they're also going to ban out the Tristana, and the Nautilus banned out by DK.
So are they going to also ban out like a Rel or something here, I mean, it could be a similar situation. Since LNG have red side, they have full counter pick for Scout here. So they could hide the Sylas again, and if you let the Rel through, then they pick the Rel for LNG, and then you pick, if you're trying to counter with Alistar again, then guess what? You get hit with a Sylas again for Scout. So it's a decision here, and it looks like they will let it through. So they let the Rel through, then the possibility of the Alistar answer and the kind of the chain of events there is available.
I do think you just swap Poppy to bot side though, and you say, hey,
zajímavý, že berou Leonu, Leona je good pro Zixe.
The crash then gets interrupted by the steadfast presence, and then you just end up taking something different for Kingin. So I think you still have options here. This would be one that I didn't expect though to come through.
Okay, no.
We'll see. We won't know until we see the timer run all the way up. Okay, Rel locked in. Now, I am a big believer in fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, that's my fault now. All right, if they pick the Alistar again and leave this Sylas option open, I am fully laying the fault of that at DK. We know how powerful that combo was last game.
Penny, let's go! Pěkně to! Pěkně to!
The Annie over here, this is something that we have seen,
Ahri,
but I think just going back towards an Ahri,
usnul jsem.
something that can kind of set up for alongside.
Jako Ahri, Vi, Ziggs, I guess. Ale potřebuji AD na top lane. My Poppy AD na top lane, actually.
Was traditionally what we saw as an answer into the Ahri, and
tohle by bylo mnohem lepší než Poppy top.
Yeah.
All right. Not gonna feed him another Alistar, most likely. Just put the Poppy bottom. And let's see, what do we got into the Camille here? Is it gonna be a lock? That would be a super fun matchup. I always love Camille versus Fiora. I'll wait until it's actually locked.
Fiora's got away. That one is ever anything is not K'Sante is hovered.
It's so fun though, because of the riposte and because of Camille wall jump and then trying to like put it a little bit to the side so you can still proc but then not get hit with the stuff. We don't even get to go into it because it will just be another K'Sante.
All right, so what's the fun part about K'Sante? Camille, come on, hype me up. Hype me up.
What's the fun part about K'Sante?
Really, I mean, Camille should be advantage. So, you know, traditionally.
Zápek si 1-2 pikne vole Camille a nejlepší pick, co má prostě do Camille, tak je K'Sante. Co je bullshit. Tady to je prostě King Hand, vole.
Galio mid, by the way, has been on a recent tear with the full damage build. For solo queue, it has been massive. The rank 3 guy in Korean solo queue really got a bunch of people playing. Galio mid was really maining it with the Storm Surge. We'll see what build Scout goes for here because Galio, of course, did get the extra health ratios, so you still, you know, can go the more defensive routes. But solo queues had some really nice full damage Galios going on, and I like the look.
Galio je tady mega good, protože oni mají málo damage. Pokud pojede, víš, že jako Ahri Ziggs má málo damage.
That's a Ziggs, that's an Ahri, that's magic damage, plus a little bit more magic damage. Galio's gonna fly in there and protect Camille, and it is gonna hurt whoever is locked up in the way.
Yeah, the Ziggs little knockback.
Jsem se překofejnoval a bolí mě hlava, je to normální.
Because even if you get the Camille out, there's still a Galio coming down too, so this has suddenly become a far more potent composition, and it still does rely heavily though on the Kai'Sa damage and also then having this Camille get ahead so then she can one-shot someone in the back.
A jsem takový unavený místo, abych byl mega nabustěnej. To bylo málo kofeinu, ty vole, jako 320 mg kofeinu jsem si dal. To už začíná být. Už se to dostává do těch hranic, kdybych měl zase přestat brát kofein. Ale já jsem tak strašně závislý na kofeinu, že to jako nejde. Je slík, je tady dobrý cel. Je tady, já mám tam CO2 metr a je tam 500 CO2 jednotek, což je úplně v pohodě.
When you head into quarters.
Yeah, especially with the versatility that they're showing, right? Like, yes, Zika has kind of been going towards these Renekton's, K'Santes, but has always had these big carry picks. The Rumble is
dávám nakopávač 500 mg plus, ty
his back pocket at times as well, so... and now Scout, the Tristanas, the Lucians, the
já jsem taky ve stavu, že jedině, kdy cítím kofein, je, když si to dám jako před jídlem, no.
And I think for a team that definitely was talked about as having these specific picks that they kind of relied on to have these big performances like
káva bez kofeinu je to, když si přestám. A já to vždycky vysadím, pak mě týden bolí hlava a pak je to kud. Ale teď jsem v té fázi, kdy se mě fakt nechce vysazovat, protože já si abuzuju kofein, abych byl zábavnější na streamu. Já jsem takový ten americký streamer, který prostě, ty američtí streameři abuzují Adderall, já abuzuju kofein. Tady Xante vyhrává jak svině, by the way. Protože má kvéčko, že jo? Ale Seju vzala level 2, no. A lane swapos. Moc to nefunguje. Čet, kdybych nebral kofein, tak to je, tak já nemluvím. Já tady sedím a takhle načumím. A prostě má ty 3 měsíce Primos.
Successfully taken away a little bit there by LNG.
Hung just trying to be a nuisance here in mid lane, but does not get tackled back close enough to the turret there for the range to shoot.
I'm curious to see what happens now with the supports though, because we have seen some changes where for like Delight and stuff he would try and match on the bottom side. You'd have King and then TP in to join him and try and play down for this bottom side.
Lane swapos. A hry má Grass. Hej, docela dobrý do toho, bych řekl do Gallia. To naprokuje, bude tanky jak svině.
Lucid just going to continue clearing through that enemy jungle here as Amy and Kingen have the wave about to crash into the turret. Here's your TP coming in.
To má Xante. Tady to divovat je hard, no. Jako nebudu vám hát, ale ten Xante, oni to vzali jen kvůli tomu, aby lane swapnuli. Protože se to hard divuje.
And that's the thing, Moham did his job there. All you needed was for Kingen to get the experience and make it work. He's level 3. Healthy engage though.
Yeah, Moham jumping in there after Weiwei. He is going to get stunned
Blok
up.
na tu Kai'Su. Tady ještě můžou fightit možná.
Nice little chunk there. Easy defense. DK are able to keep Kingen in full experience over here.
Proč neskusíš perník? Kámo, já se těším na vánoční perníček. Je to jako úplně něco jiného než perník samozřejmě, ale když slyším perníček, tak si představím vánoční perníčky. A já normálně dokážu sežrat třeba celou oven v perníčku za jeden den. Nice, už máme huch. Máme Halloween huch.
A good answer on towards Amy at the moment and keeping himself in check in the lane is going to work out perfectly for him.
And they've got the timer on the respawn of
předělej ty emote.
number 2 here, so they know.
Flashnul ten charm. Tady honestly měli flash, on měl flash charmnout, aby to aby dali chain CC a zabili toho Gallia, by the way.
Yeah, LNG know that. Yeah, they could come for our second Raptors, but it doesn't matter if you know. Nice little bit of damage there gonna force.
Říká se celý pekáč, já jsem musel použít oven, protože jsem nevěděl to český slovo.
They of course invest their own flash, but trying to get pressure onto the Galio is really big. Whenever you're running Vi plus Ahri, you want to have the level 6 kill
to si děláš prdel? Tanoušku, díky za klečko.
Panoušek donate 100 korun českých.
Huch. Tak dej F5, dám F5.
Yep, knockback with the satchel charge. Zika trying to get away there, jumps towards his opponents with a hook shot for the extra distance.
Ty vole, to je damage.
So I think Zika was expecting Lucid to try and go for the Q and was hoping to flash over, but instead he only ends up flashing into the waiting arms of Lucid and sets up for that kill.
It's so hard versus Poppy angles too, because he's like, I don't want to get
too
close
můžu vás
to the
poprosit, zaspamujte Halloween emoty 70 emoty. Tak Xante má level 5, potřebuje si nastakovat kvéčko a pak bude docela unkillable. Wow. Dobrý flash, ale podle mě si ten flash, ježiš, on použil to kvéčko too soon. Kámo, ten Xante je broken. Má kvéčko, sleduj. On to netrefil zas! Pane bože! Kámo, kdyby Kingen byl o něco lepší. O něco lepší.
Couple of them low, but he still goes down, and Showmaker could not clean up. Even with the 2 low health members, due to the tower, he could not clean up any extra kills.
And he just there hit level 6 as well. That would have been such a big difference if it was slightly faster, but unfortunately for DK, LNG, even though they had a tough time doing it, they got it done. Gala flashes back on the wall. Showmaker with a spirit rush to chase him down. He's
Tady jste dead. Nejste dead, máte štěstí. Kamil nemá flash, vlastně.
And now with the map state that it's in, Lucid able to move up towards this top side. He's going to get the Void Grubs. You push for aiming on towards this top tower as well. This should
3 gruby pro Ziggyho a potom bude firstuje pro Zigse.
This is a much better early game for the LCK representative.
Yeah, aiming up here on the Ziggs, just destroying this tower. And he was also the one to get the last hit onto the kill for the first blood that they got on Zika. So it's going to be a very, very dangerous Ziggs very early on into this game.
Yeah, there you go. Turret down. Ziggs doing what Ziggs does, and Kingen now goes all out here with the K'Sante chasing after Hung. But he can just join up
Teď jsem se díval, že zaultil Kingen. Hej kámo, ten Kingen je fakt bad.
They're level 4, they're half HP for the support and jungler of LNG, so they got to be a little bit careful here, even though they have a massive numbers advantage. They catch King and he went way too close. What in the hell are we doing, Kingen? That was not the right choice.
Jako game 1 totálně na inky a game 2 taky totálně inky. Ten člověk prostě a nejlepší jeho answer do Kamil 1-2 je K'Sante, on se self-counter pikne. To je crazy. Jako čínský toplaneři jsou lepší, ale ty vole. Je ten Papa emote se mi líbí, ten Halloween? Papa emote? Já fakt jako já čumím, co ten Kingen dělá, já fakt jako... Já nevím, co si jako myslí?
Try and delay them. Hey, we're on the way. We want to try and punish them. We want to catch them. But then not only does our K'Sante die, but then Lucid dies for a control ward inside the Dragon Pit. The Dragon Pit where the dragon had already been taken, nonetheless. So.
Ty vole.
Two free ones.
I want to say anything, but you know.
To je taková klasika od Kingena.
DK had been
I want to say anything, but you know, with the
vibe.
What was that? What did I just see? All right.
What did you just do?
I've seen it all. I've seen.
What did you just do?
I've seen some flashes.
And you might look back at those couple of kills that you gave away really early on into the game, and really regret those. We'll see though if you know, LNG are able to get their dive game plan going. We now have our level 6s for both the Galio as well as our possibilities of the traps. That goated combo that you look for is going to be operational.
Kingen.
Man, that was not what DK needed. They were 3 grubs ahead. I mean, technically they still are 3 grubs ahead. It just doesn't feel as good after the blunder there in the Drake Pit. 9.5 minutes into the game. Second set of grubs spawns in 60
Viděli jste, že se Ziggsem, když dáte Ečko do zdi, tak to hned exploduje. Takže ty věci, co jsou prostě v terénu, ty Ečka, tak hned explodujou. Ono se to dá abusovat hodně. Ano, říkáš to tak 2krát za týden. To jsem řekl poprvé.
That's why we often saw the Ziggs paired with things like Nautilus support, because it just gives them the fire at will on this specific spot and you will murder someone. So I think for DK, the likes of being able to lock down Gala, potentially even just take Zika out of a fight, makes these upcoming scraps significantly easier. So LNG need to pull off some kind of magic to make these next few fights go in their favor.
Yeah, and they should be able to set up nicely for that second pack of grubs that we're looking towards. They get the recall.
No, Kamil, ty vole, už na levelu 8 prostě ignoruje vole K'Santeho a bere turetu.
Would be very nice for them, even though their bottom tower here is very close to going down, and 3 members of LNG are coming to try and make sure of that.
Yep, we got another teleport coming in to try to turn this into a very one-sided fight. It's another bad experience for Kingen around the bottom lane. 0-3 and 0.
Kámo, myslím si, že manažer DK teďka hledá korejského toplanera. Hyzet is playing party animals. On zastrénuje, kámo. Honzik zastrénuje, přistižen. On prostě perma trénuje na co-op stream.
I think it's always one of the most critical skills in League of Legends that really separates the top teams. Hold on now, another one of those skills.
Ale pěkný.
When you can find it. Beautifully done from DK. But
Ale kam šel Lucid?
As LNG want to get that counter attack now on Lucid, who tries to escape off to the right.
Ale jak nemají damage, ne, s tím Galiem. Mají prostě nulový damage.
Still staying alive for now. Still trying to get himself back away. One more punch from Scout's gonna get it done as Hung gets slammed back into the wall there by the Poppy, but a DP's coming in. There's your Glacial Prison. There's a double kill back over to Scout. There's Zika making his way into the fight as Kingen goes unstoppable with his reinforcement, but the fight's already finally done. LNG fighting back after Gala got dove.
It looked so good for DK. That was the combo that we were just talking about, where you can annihilate Gala, but just end up going that little bit too far forward. Lucid gets caught, and every member of LNG comes out of the woodwork to try and turn that one around.
I was about to say, before that happened, one of the most critical skills of being a good team is knowing when to just let something go and take something else instead. But LNG was not willing to let Gala go unavenged. And they
Zix má 1200 gólů, he. Tady je problém Kingen a Camel.
That does bloom out of this game. You still have the one constant, and that is
Dneska vyspinkaný, jo. Jako jsem unavený, ale vyspinkal jsem se, takže to nevím, nechápu to. Dneska mi i Aura řekla, že jsem udělal něco, co jsem udělal, že mám lepší spanek než normálně. Ale moje sleep score je 70.
Galio doesn't really hit as hard as you kind of hope for when they're teaming in though. It's kind of like, oh, you take none of my health, but I also take none of yours. So good day, sir. We'll back away, but they will back away towards this dragon, which is working out well for them. And Zika now trying to see if he can just put some pressure on towards Moham, but he cannot defend this top tower by himself. But the wave isn't quite in position.
So last game, where we had more of an even spread of the neutral objectives, Grubs didn't all get 6-0. The first two Drakes went 1-1. This time around, it's all Grubs over to DK, both Drakes over to LNG. The Soul this time is more valuable as well.
70 není nic moc, jako to je ta ironie Veny, no, že prostě Aura Ring mi zahlásí, že jsem se vyspal nádherně, nebo líp než normálně, a že bych si měl zapamatovat svoji night routine, protože mám lepší spánek, ale moje score je 70. A.k.a. když se nevyspím dobře, jako jsem se dneska vyspal dobře, tak mám score tak 60. To je ta ironie, no.
And I think at the moment they're doing a decent job of moving Scout into positions where he is kind of being the defensive side laner, where you have Zika being the offensive side laner, and having people like Weiwei and Hung play towards him. As long as they can keep that and you can continue to clear these waves, they should be fine.
Camel bude hodně velký problém, protože ty vole level 9 Camel a už vyhrává tak strašně moc. Camel reálně proti Xantemu vyhrává až tak level 12-13.
So we'll see about the setup now as everybody
heading hodně ahead, ale Kai'Sa taky na tom není špatně. Vůbec, teďka se jí finishnul cool.
LNG with a 5-man play going in. They find the Glacial Prison, but it's only on to Moham. How much do they want to commit to this? Looks like the whole kitchen sink. Should be a 1-for-1 though. Hung barely getting away. Showmaker finally going to finish him, but Lucid's going to drop next. 3v4, aiming is still alive. Kingen trying to cut off Zika. Hero's entrance looking to back up that top laner as Kingen is once again in a bad spot. He has to flash to try to escape, but it's
whoa, čus. Wow, pánové, tady je to 2-0, game over. Kingen chce jít domů. Ale oni jsou 2-0 DK, ty vole. Proti komu hráli DK? Oni hráli proti Fly, proti komu hráli? Proti Fnatic. Fnatic a Fly, takže mi chceš říct, že prostě nejhorší, nebo no, reálně, 3000 LCK hraje proti Evropě a Americe, aby byl 2-0 a mohl...
Gala staying away from the wall, so King can't really get him into position. Weiwei getting that knock up. You've got Scout who's peeled now for Showmaker and happy.
Oni nemají damage reálně prostě s tou Ahri a Zixem. To je problém, když tohle jako nemám rád, když ty pikneš Zixa, tak ty potřebuješ AD na midu, který má jako DPS. Chápeš? Takže Smolder, Tristana, Lucian. A oni vemou Ahri, která jako Ahri nemá damage. Ahri je champ, který je prostě sideline pressure a playmaker. A engager, chápeš?
Why Gala himself even spent his own personal money along with some of his old teammates to really help Scout get here, and he's paying them back in gameplay.
He's paying him back in gameplay, and we're paying him back in gold as well. We were talking about aiming being the win condition, aiming being up 1,500 gold. Look at the bottom of your screen.
A co s tím Scoutem bylo? On měl jaký měl problémy s vízama, nebo co? Že oni museli zaplatit peníze, aby governmentu, aby ho pustili. Obvinění, jaký obvinění? Čína ho nechtěla pustit. Měl obvinění od soudu, zákaz od soudu vycestovat a oni museli zaplatit peníze. Kauza ADG. Snappy říkal, že porušil smlouvu při odchodu z ADG. Jo, ADG mu dali soud, protože porušil smlouvu při odchodu a oni ho nechtěli nechat vycestovat kvůli tomu a museli zaplatit nějakou kauzu, peníze, aby mohl jako vycestovat. Tak to je crazy.
Okay, so let me ask you guys. This game, early on, started off way better for DK than the first game did, and then just fumbling the ball over and over and over again, getting outplayed by LNG. How do they stabilize this and try to take themselves to a game 3?
Nějakou kauzu do piči. Já však chápete, co říkám. Jak se v Americe vykupuje, když máš nějaký problém. Kauce.
Scout's going. He has the Hollow Radiance already. He is tanky, but the damage behind that profile isn't quite
there yet. Mám v sobě moc kofeinu a normálně se mi točí hlava.
In Gala, it becomes significantly easier to deal with the other threat, which is Zika.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's either like Lucid
EDG chtělo vyrovnání 1 milion euro a tak se na to poskládali. Jako zaplatit 1 milion euro jen za to, aby si zahrál Worlds, tak to je celkem jako...
actually forcing some picks in your favor, and you really need to leverage those very early on so that LNG don't get to set up their combo.
But the problem is you've got Scout on the Gallia, right? So even trying to get that moment may cost you your lives, but maybe a sacrifice DK have to be willing to make. His third dragon started. DK, a lot of respect here.
LNG with total control over the bottom side river.
Byl prý zaplatit 1 milion dolarů, jen aby nemohl hrát Scout z nahradí, kterou bude náhodí. Jo, to jsem slyšel od Kidra, no. Tady tohle, tady tu koučku. Dolarů, ne euro, je to irrelevant. Borci, řešíte hovna, řešíte takový detaily zbytečný.
And when you're running a team like this that is based on picking people off and all in sending that dive, it is really beneficial to be able to have the threat of Dragon Soul.
Já třeba nejsem na takový, já nejsem na slovíčkaření a na na gramatiku a tak, že já prostě když v momentě, kdy pochopím, co ten člověk se snaží říct, tak prostě to neřeším. A nemusím si z něj dělat srandu, že prostě, chápeš, to řekl špatně nebo něco, nebo řekl prostě něco divně. Já jsem to pochopil, a i když to řekl špatně, tak jsem to pochopil a v ten moment je mi to jedno, že to řekl špatně. Nechápu lidi, co se tím tak strašně zaobývají, opět se v tom rochní a vyžívají, že prostě ty si napsal špatně, ty si napsal špatně, Ježišmarja, ty si řekl kauce místo kauze. Jako sorry, jsem vole dysgrafik a dyslektik a mám v piči. A dokážu pochopit lidi, co to tak mají taky.
In transition, you know, so that LNG don't get to use their full combination of a team. And right now, LNG are actually splitting them across. They're gonna be able to have
no, já jsem zapomněl češtinu, jakoby. Jednak já jsem mluvil víc anglicky za posledních 12 let než česky, za A a za B jsem dyslektik a dysgrafik, prostě.
Trying to go into Moham, not quite able to get him, but LNG is a team that has struggled when it comes towards actually playing out a map state in a 1-3-1 or these kind of split push scenarios.
Víš co, Američani se taky nesmějou za to, že máš špatný přízvuk nebo něco špatně vyslovuješ nebo něco. Kdykoliv, kdo mluvíš anglicky, když něco řekneš špatně gramaticky, tak tě nikdo neopravuje. V Česku řekneš něco špatně gramaticky, prostě něco řekneš špatně v Česku a
Actually, řekli si to špatně, měl by si dostat za 5 z češtiny, seštemen.
a v angličtině to nikdo neřeší. Hlavně, že se domluvíš. Nemyslíš si, že jsi kreten, no.
But this is the play that I was going to say that traditionally LNG fell back onto when they had these split pushes, which is overloading these lanes with Scout and Zika, and then using Zika as a
Co furt tapuju, já mám japping rád. Ty jsi strašně bad hrát, ne? Snažím se vysvětlit pointu. Kdybyste to neměli řešit, že to je zbytečný. Pozdě zaultil. Měl flash ultnout. A pak by možná přežil. Stop ten. Počkej, zpátky League of Legends. 1400 goldů na Camille. Jakmile Camille bude mít 2 itemy, tak si Xante nezahraje, protože má dokonce Mercs. Kajsička je teďka konečně even na to, se Zixem. Vi ahead na Sejuani doesn't matter. A Hrigalio doesn't matter.
It's a huge moment. Our eyeballs were just all on Lucid, and him being able to use Vi ultimate to lock somebody down, and they have Showmaker there, and they make the play. So very nicely done for them. Nice little punish, but it doesn't completely change the direction of the game because all of the setup work that LNG had done is still pretty much true. They still have their deep wards in the jungle leading up towards the dragon, so they can still set up nicely here as it's now only 1 minute away, and this is going to be a very early soul fight.
The big thing that I'm looking at here is Scout not only died,
tak,
but he did lose
Sejuani hraje s Camilem. Pardon, ale Garamánaci, omlouvám se všem Garamánaci.
And if LNG ends up getting forced off, or even if they decide to fight forward and they lose by a small margin, that could be a big difference maker.
I think this is where we will see LNG just go for tower takes though. They're having an awful time breaking these turrets because Aiming just sits in mid, clears out the waves all day. Showmaker's been doing a very similar job matching wherever Zik is trying to put pressure.
Ninja tabi pasiv nefunguje na Camille by the way. No, protože Camille je true damage, no, ano, to chápu. Ale funguje to na ten normální damage.
Drake 15 seconds away. A little bit of vision from both sides here in the bot side river. Aiming just continuing to force these waves down. So easy to do it with the Ziggs. Vision in the pit.
Mají vůbec dostatek damage? To teďka uvidíme na tom soul fightu. Podle mě ani nemají dostatek damage přes LNG Scout ultimátku. A mluvím o DK, jo, že DK prostě nemají dostatek damage, mi přijde, ale uvidíme.
Good job taking control of that little curved bush in the river, by the way. This one they're fighting over right now. Wei
mají 3, jako tady budou 4 draky, 4 draci, soula.
So retaken vision control now by LNG in this bush.
Keegan keeps trying to reset. I'm not sure if he's come close to that item completion, so may want to try and get that in just so we can come in with the TP, but LNG giving up a lot of space.
2 itemy na topu už, pánové, 2 itemy v jungli, proti 2. 2 proti 2 na midu, 2,5 proti 2,5 na AD. Jako tady je to vyrovnaný fight, ale prostě já si myslím comp-wise, že nemají damage DK. Že jako itemama a goldama jsou even a mají teďka jako největší šanci vyhrát ten fight, ale všeobecně si prostě myslím, že to je, mají prostě dostali outdraft. Nemají damage. Camille má flash. Flashla strašně lejta Camille. Ale oni nemají damage! Kde je damage? Dobrý, Ziggs flashnul. Už. Ta value Poppy je huge tady, actually. Proč šli back in? Tohle bylo mega zvláštní, oni měli toho draka a mohli jít out a pak šli back in. Poppy tady zahrála 2krát, to je huge by the way. Poppy tady 2krát cancela Camille. Kamil, kolik toho tam cancela? To strašně moc toho cancela. Ale LNG se mohli backnout a mít prostě soulu a v pohodě. Kamil to tam docela nainčila. Tam typoval do 4 lidí a potom neflashoval včas. Santej zaultil out. Tady to možná, jako mají toho barona, ale možná tady zabijou nějaký lidi. Mají ty jedničku, takže přežijou.
They wanted to try to get something back. They even used Scout's TP. That is now back-to-back TPs from Scout that have been completely ineffective. Hung wants to try to stop some backs, maybe desync them, but it's not even going to work.
I really want to see this fight again because I
To
believe
potřebuji vidět ten znovu ten
K'Sante
fight. Tak
ultimately
sleduj.
ultimate so that
Oni
when
mají
locked into the Galio combo,
teďka reálně nepotřebují nic dělat. Relp stopnutá, popionou. A teď mají to. A proč oni jdou i... Proč... Gala zaultí taky moc brzo. K'Sante tu Kamil bloknul pryč. A tady proč nevím, proč se vrací. Nebo tady je to v pohodě. Ale sleduj, tady můžou prostě utíct. A oni to turnou back. A Poppy tam dal další cancel na toho Galia a na tu Kamil. To bylo huge. Sejuani nemá Mercs. Má Mercs, Seju. Takže nemají damage, platí pro oba týmy, to je pravda.
This is such an exciting one. Oh my goodness, the comeback possibilities here for DK.
Ale
So
jako...
much gold injected into this team off of that fight.
Podíváme se na itemy. Pokud Ahri bude mít death cap, tak možná už začnou mít damage. Protože Ahri, ono se to nezdá, nemá. Vidíme, co bude stavět. Měla by postavit death cap třetí, podle mě. Protože Ahri teďka strašně scale s AP ratio. Oni jak teďka buffli tu Ahri, tak ona fakt jako má damage, když máš hodně AP. On staví Zoniu, ok. Jako chápu tu, no Zonia je goodbye. Určitě lepší než death cap třetí, actually. Ty vole, Ziggs má 4 itemy a nemá finishnutý Seras ještě. Mají oba Liandreys, to se mi líbí. A dva levely na midu, jeden level na AD. Tady by měli abusovat to, že Kamil je strašně silná jakoby na sidelane. LNG perma fighty 5v5 přijde a mohli by využívat toho, že Kamil je silná jak svině na sidelane. Sejuani by měla hrát na sidelane jakoby s tou Kamil a měli by zkoušet zabíjet Ahri anebo K'Santeho.
Thing is for LNG as well, the difference between this game and the last game, look at Gala. Last time around, he was going with the very heavy AP build, right? We saw the death cap, we saw the magic penetration, we saw Nashor's tooth, all these things. This time around, it's much more of a fighting,
že staví on hit, ta Kai'Sa. Že nestaví AP build anyway. Ok, tady to hodně naintili. Ale bude z toho něco? Asi ne? Jeden kill max. Dobrý blok. Teda dobrý dodge. Má flash? Nemá flash. Kámo, oni nemají damage, protože Galio. Wow. Wow. Loket a Galio ult. Ale proč nemá Kai'Sička AP build? Já si myslím, no matter what, takže ten AP build na Kai'Sa je vždycky nejlepší. Ten AD build je takový, že to stejně nedává damage, větší damage než AP build, když auto atakuješ.
This is a jet lag. You waking out, lads? You feeling it?
Got off the plane just in time, baby. Feeling good. Feeling good.
That's kind of why I want to see another game of this. But LNG, of course, don't want that. They want the express route into the next stage of Worlds here. They want to be able to finish out this game, and of course, the power of a Mountain Soul is so big in these all-in fights.
Jako ta Mountain Soula pro tyjo Sejuani Gallia, Rel.
So we'll take a look at the combinations. You have to, of course, always keep checking back in on the flashes, and most of them have their flashes back and available. It's just, of course, Scout Galio not going to have his ready.
Well, we had a very early Dragon Soul this game, the earliest possible one you could get 4-0, but that also means early Elders. This buff so often ends the game, and right now, bottom river control belongs to
Elder
DK.
pánové.
LNG just trying to get
Kamil to musí nějak flanknout, ale reálně Kamil musí mít mega flank nějaký. A druhý flank by... Pozor, tady je to nebezpečný, teď to bylo nebezpečný pro Galu. Takhle poke dobrý poke, mají Mountain Soulu, takže jim můžou abuzovat, jo, že prostě takhle short tradenou, pokenou a pak se jim zase za pár vteřin dá Mountain Soul, hej. A tady mi chybí ten AP build. Vice se snaží najít Kamil a našli ji. Tohle je blbý, že našli Zika. Oh, on to dodgenul anyway. Oh! Wow, a Rel engage, pane bože, ale Gala vůbec nehituje. Gala vůbec nehituje. Tenhle build na tu Kai'Su mi nesedí. Stejnek nemůže moc hitovat. Proč to Ahri Kvečko vypadá jak mini Jinx Rocket? Dívej, flank číslo 2. Poke číslo 2. Jak to trefil ten Galio, co? On prostě navolkoval. On prostě navolkuje do 4 lidí a dá taunt. A nic se... A oni se nechají navolkovat, co? Execute would be almost immediate here on the Moham. He's about to take the damage. The winds of war are blowing, and they will burn down the house of DK. Aiming the last man standing. He's kiting them all the way through the jungle. They got to be careful about this one. The Ziggs. Měli by ho reálně zabít s tou Kamil. But they've got so many more men. Wei still coming back around from the side. The Elder Dragon Sejuani trying to cut him off. Whoa. With a beautiful mega Whoa.
take out the enemy support,
cool.
But he pays with it, with his life, and LNG get a delayed ace plus Elder. It's aiming versus the world.
Gold je even. A oni nezískají turety, protože chaseovali strašně dlouho. Ale dívej, jak tady Scout prostě navolkuje do Ahry. Showmaker se nechá tauntnout. Ale pak nakonec flash charmnul tu Kai'Su anyway.
And the eventual turnaround to pick off the members of DK.
And that fight is only the second wraparound after they had already got the first kill. And the first fight, they actually, even though they see the Camille coming, there's nothing.
Tak, jak moc využijí toho Eldra, to je důležitý, jo? Musí vzít aspoň třeba Barona. Nebo jako Barona určitě vemu, ale mohli by s tím vzít i další turety. Něco mi říká, že tady bude další druhý Elder. Že ta hra bude tak dlouhá, že bude druhý Elder. Kamil staví BF? Co staví z toho BF? Na postaví GA nebo co staví? Měli by divenout straight up. Ahri nemá flash, Ziggs nemá flash. Ale raději Zika veme top lane turetu. Má GA a týpa je zpátky na top lane inhib. Teďka díky tomu vemou tier 2 na midu asi. Má Poppy flash.
Hookshot to escape in time. Glacial Prison over the wall to block any sort of a chase that DK would have wanted to execute on, as Gala, now with a space created by Zika in the top lane, can secure the kill in the tier 2 back over in mid. Tier 3 turret in top, still just barely standing as the push.
Eldra má jenom Kamil a Sejuani, jo. To nic moc neudělá, a Galio ještě. To nic moc neudělá s tím.
DK trying heavily to pressure onto the wave state, but LNG, they're there.
Víš, co mi chybí, ty vole? Vidět prostě tu Kamil 1v1 zabít Xanteho na sidelane, to mi chybí. Že už to jako nevidím. Víš, dřív to bylo tak, že 1v1 ta Kamil prostě divovala Xanteho pod tier 2, tier 3. A teď to málo kdy vidím. A nevím proč. Jestli ty lidi to prostě umí hrát už líp a nenechají se divenout, nebo...
Yeah, LNG, of course, they're so short range. It is hard for them to take down the final defenses of the inhibitor tower, so they really do have to rely on their split push, even with the Baron buff. Camille almost finishes off that tower, though, so the topside tower extremely low, extremely close to going down. Of course, that teamfight damage does tell the story that we already know from the side of DK, where Aiming was pumping out damage.
Dva kanóny, bum, 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 bum.
LNG, of course,
Čus.
with their Dragon Soul, with all the extra gold that they've now gotten too.
Tady mohl Kamil skočit na popy. Jo. Udělali to tak.
Moham finds himself in a bad spot. He's down. Zika seeing the angle to block his escape. Now a 5v4 for LNG. Glacial Prison on the King.
Ten angle jsem viděl taky, chat, ten angle jsem viděl taky.
Such a struggle here in the second game as LNG, their Baron is about to expire. They want to try to get all the value that they can. Rotating back over to the mid lane now as the wave is also about to crash. Mega Inferno Bomb with very little value. Mid lane inhibitor would be the first one to fall on DK's side as
Coffee Enjoyer, děkuji za kilečko. Hej, já už mám teďka mám reálně 50% win rate podle mě v těch. Včera jsem udělal jednu chybu z 5, ale dneska jsem říkal, že DK podle mě vyhraje a dostal stomp. A pak jsem říkal Genji, že vyhraje. Ale jako nevařil bych podle mě už teďka.
It's just really good movements from LNG. To be able to take over jungle, make it so dangerous.
Když se vyplatí stavět Kraken na Kai'Su, co staví Gala, já si myslím, že nikdy.
It just seems so hard at
Já
this
si
point
myslím,
for
že nikdy.
DK to retake control, and with another Elder coming up and your mid inhibitor down once again, it is going to be that very dangerous situation where you're going into an LNG vision controlled territory, where they also have the big gold advantage that they've retaken.
Chat, ano, je to tak, jak napsal Bernie 3. Já už mám spolupráci s typáčem a už schválně vám radím špatně, abych si zvýšil kurz.
You got me.
It is on LNG now to just finish this one out with one more big fight.
I thought LNG would leave Zuka on top side because he doesn't have enough gold to buy another item and they could just continue to put pressure there, but now drawing him down onto this bottom side,
Byl jsem
it
chycen.
will mean that he has a good flank opportunity for this potential Elder
Druhej
Dragon,
Elder.
especially with the way
Hele,
he's now
honestly?
pushed down and there's little vision there, so Showmaker now moving in behind the pit. I imagine it'll be Showmaker.
Já jsem si říkal, honestly, teďka když DK získají Eldra, že nějakým způsobem stealnou Eldra od LNG, tak vyhrál. Jenže ne, Kamil půjde split pushovat a finish name hru. Reálně, pokud budou se snažit dávat Eldra. LNG by tady neměli dávat Eldra, vůbec by ho neměli začínat. Kamil by měla týpnout na tier 3 a vzít tier 3. Proč netýpuje na tier 3? Tady jsem, Kamil, a prostě nevere tady tier 3. Oni chcou fightit. A hry? Tady Kamil nedodžila nic. Kamil nic nedodžila. Ale oni nemají damage prostě. Ještě má GA. Ale posral to s tou Kamil, by the way. Ale nemají damage. Ale Gala je lepší jak ty, takže je to dobrý. Dokáže vysvětlit, proč to on staví, ne proč si myslí, že to není dobrý. No doslova nevím, proč tady staví AD build, když nemají AP damage. To za A, za B nemůže autoatakovat perma, reálně dá třeba 5 autoataků za hru. Tenhle ten build je pouze dobrý, pokud reálně můžeš autoatakovat perma. Ani to nemá lepší survivability, když postavíš Zoniu s tím AP buildem. Chovy Yone je totiž insane.
But pick up the Yone here potentially for Zek, and the fact that it slipped through the
Vai je
jab.
open,
That could be
Ash je
in my eyes,
open,
the difference maker here for Zek. He's been
Yone je open,
incredible
Rumble je
on that pick,
open.
has fit directly into his wheelhouse, and I think it'll be such a massive pickup for Hanwha here.
I feel like it's Worlds 2024, boys. If Yone's open and you don't lock it B1, I'm wondering what you're doing.
Should always be first pick.
Aurora je ještě open, jsem zapomněl úplně, actually.
We'll just make sure we catch up with
Wow.
everything else. Bans Nidalee, Ziggs, Skarner banned out by Hanwha Life, and then Gen G
Aurora je
taking out the
permaban,
Soul
jako
with
legit
the Jax, the
permaban.
So Aurora had actually creeped up to be the most banned champion, even with all the nerfs that were received heading into Worlds here. This champ is still so powerful in picking off, especially AD carries, and the ultimate has been
Nocturne
used so
Aurora,
successfully. Now
wow.
you're gonna combo
Hej,
it
Nocturne
actually
se mi
with a
líbí.
Nocturne ultimate to
Nocturne,
cover darkness over.
ale vibe byla
And I
open,
think this
no.
works out
Ale
great for
Nocturne se mi
Kanye
líbí.
because the shift back from the carry AP junglers into the Sejuani Maokai felt like he
A
kind
sedí
of
to
struggled,
Kenyovi.
but like couldn't have the
Rumble je
as insane
open,
of
je
an
Rumble
impact
open,
that
no.
he
Tady
has
by
in
mohli
that
dát 2
traditional
Rumble
carry
Yone.
pick. So going back towards that carry style now on the Nocturne
Raději
kind of unlocks
Sejuani,
him to
jo.
be that mega threat on the
Můžou
map.
furt,
And it'll be on Peanut
Yone
rocking
Sejuani
the
Rumble,
Sejuani
no.
here to try and control and dictate
Vemou
the pace of
Gnára
that.
do té Aurory
We have
raději.
seen teams
Aurora
go for
může
these
být i
early
mid, ale
phases
spíš je
towards
to
the
top laner
Nocturne.
Aurora.
With the Gnar on that top side, that could be a pushing lane you could look to play around.
A hry
but you still
Aurora
need some sort of
Nocturne.
control on that bottom side to look to threaten this Nocturne at the early stage.
Okay.
And the insta-lock here from Chovy.
Chovy a
bringing
hry,
out the
ty
Ahri
vole.
here. Again, another like double AP solo laners coming through, but we definitely expect them to also have some very strong AD threats as we jump down to the bottom lanes as well for both of these teams. So take out a couple of those options.
No, chcou zabrat teďka ADčka, který jsou safe, jak je Ezreal. Zaju by možná mohli, i když Zaja má tak špatnou. Problém se Zajou je, že máš strašně špatný laning face, jako strašně. Že to je jako úplně insane, jak to můžeš do toho zahrát cokoliv a vyhraješ. Jestli zabanou Kai'Sa Lucian, teda Kalista Lucian, tak z největší pravděpodobností chcou fakt Zaju. Ještě je Kai'Sa open, Kai'Sa je good. Jhin je takový jako irrelevant.
Your dive to function on Gen G side, but
Jhin by byl dobrý pro Gen G
because
aj.
I don't really know what other self-reliant
to
marksmen
jmenovat
apart
to.
from Viper has brought out the Xayah. But do you really want to go for the Xayah in this meta? It's a bit hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, if you're facing a lot of the dive, you know, Kaina always is nice there. I like what HLE have gone for with banning out some of the lane
Kai'Sa
dominant
matchup even,
champions
no,
here with
Kai'Sa
the,
je
with
good
the
do
Kalista.
Zyra.
Of course, Pays amazing Kalista. Showed it again versus Weibo already
Jako
this
nestompne
tournament.
ti do linku, ale...
Had his 28 bomb at MSI that he was able to drop. That also had like
Ash by byl taky, Ash by byla taky výborná pro Payse, no. Tak co pikne? Kai'Sa mi tam nesedí. Varus, další CC.
Now, this
Chtěli
does
by
bring
další
some more
CC, no.
structure too. You know, you're looking at this scheme comp and you do want
Varus je
some more
good.
CC in it. The Varus does offer that as well as a pretty strong lane phase.
Co oni vemou do toho Varuse, no.
Varus kind of gets left on his lonesome with the way the rest of this composition wants to play, and against the diving Gnar, the dive from the Yone, Pays is going to be very vulnerable and heavily flash reliant. It feels like in these fights. If
Varus je dobrý do
Gen G ever
Kai'Sy,
want to
ale.
try and aggress, so I like that Hanwha essentially just doubling down now.
Ale Kai'Sa je taková jako jedinej...
Zaya
Kai'Sa jsou ty ostatní safe picky, co můžeš hrát.
Always love seeing a Kai'Sa, man. Especially after last series, we got to see some pretty fun Kai'Sa. Hopefully we're gonna get to see we're gonna get to see some pretty fun Kai'Sa here in this one as well. But we do need to see what they are going to round out this composition with here for Delight in the support role. Delight on Engage, I am not surprised to see that whatsoever.
Tady by byl dobrý Alistar pro Gen G.
Yeah, he's probably the best engaged support in the world right now. This guy's absolutely insane.
Alistar je celkem good tady.
Some of these picks that really start to stand out for him, but I do like the rel specifically in this because not only does it have great engage,
více mi líbí Alistar.
very well with the peel that you need thanks to that magnetic storm.
Ale může tam vzít cokoliv reálně, jo.
Dives in, things like the Ahri as well, just being able to keep them off of your
Renata. Actually, bych úplně zapomněl na Renatu. Renata je good do Gnara, do Jonáše, do Rel. Renata je OP v určitých situacích. Není to OP champ, který jako pikuješ non-stop a je to OP, tak jak Rel, ale Renata třeba v této situaci je hodně silná, hodně. A v určitých situacích je prostě hands down broken. Tady se mi líbí Genji draft víc. Kvůli tomu, že mají prostě Nocturne Aurora. To je... Ono to je strašně... Ty to špatně jako... Neskačte mi do řeči. Ty špatně vidíš, jak velký vliv má třeba Nocturne ult a Aurora ult ve fightu. A ve hře. U Nocturny ten champ tam je tak strašně dlouho v té hře, jakože víš, že jako když je Nocturne in-game, tak víš, jaký to má pressure na sidelane, víš, jaký to má pressure ve fightech a tak. Že tam je prostě ta perma presence toho Nocturne ult, jo? Ale u té Aurory to nevíš, protože ten champ je novej. A reálně to, že ten champ skáče prostě zleva, zprava, zepředu, navrch, dolů a ještě to má prostě invisibilitu, je úplně insane. Je to hrozně velký pressure. Tak jsem zvědavý, jak se s tím poperou. A taky Renata ult je taky hrozně annoying, jo? Mají tam strašně moc annoying jumpů, Genji. Ale zase jako Hanwha má takový straightforward draft, jo? Že prostě...
you, so there's a lot of talk I can already see. Anime protagonist, you're putting in the block and just saying, hey, show me what you've got. And that's kind of where this like Yone edgy guy just gets to show his stuff, right? He wants to be close and personal with you, so you're kind of just setting it up. So curious now to see how Genji want to try and make this happen. I don't think they want to opt in towards a lane swap, but it looks like they're just trying to deny a potential lane swap. But I didn't catch there if Viper was spotted as they moved through.
All right, as we're waiting on minions to spawn, we do want to bring up that our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz this game is right there in the mid lane between Zeka and Chovy. These guys that have had some serious blows back and forth before, even though the all-time record doesn't really favor Zeka. I was looking at some stats before the series today. Zeka's all-time series record against Chovy is 2-16.
Čemu potřebuješ frontline tuhle hru?
The two ones that he won were World Semifinals 2022 and then LCK Summer Finals just this split. Two big ones for Zeka to say, hey, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality.
Is it kind of Chad, no? Beat you in some really big ones. And of course, we do have the lane swap that HLE I've started out, so that means our supports are going to come mid. Actually, we have Keen coming mid, so it's not going to be the support plus, mid laners here for soaking level 2, at least for the side of Genji. And Delight's just going to pass on through and try and peel some of the jungle.
Delight mu to pomáhá líšovat, honestly. To je Nocturne.
I don't think Genji spotted that Viper was topside. They only saw Doran, so thought it was going to be standard lane. So Genji had kind of gone for this in finals where they went for the lane swap.
Počeká na kvéčko autoattack ten Nocturne.
What is doing now, which is playing down towards that bottom side, having your top laner TP into the play, but I think it's a
ale tyjo, teďka přijde na to, že tam nejsou golemy. Že Sejuani tam začala golemky. A Redko, ne? Tohle je dobré pro to. Pro Hanwhu. Pro Sejuani.
Have Delight on the level 1 on the rel, and so the defense is going to be a little
bit
more
tak tady se divím. To snaží jako divenout. Ale Delighta hodně napoukovali, ale nemůžou divenout. Chat, máte rádi lane swap? Jak vás baví lane swap meta? Já to nesnáším. Já to nesnáším. Do morku kostí to nesnáším.
Yeah, and it was kind of Delight was like, okay, fine. You know, I don't get my level 2 for it, but then Canyon also wasn't level 3 for it, so then you didn't have the extra threat there, and they kind of domino effect. So nicely done here out of the lane swap. And it should be just continuing on with those sides of the map kind of split and finishing their clears off.
Ooh, Pays forced to flash away there from the crash down of Delight as he did find the wraparound attempt there on the Gen G 80 carry.
Yeah, fake the reset. So traditionally you'd see Delight now reset.
Kdo má lepší draft? Hanwha má jednoduchý draft na zahrání, ale Gen.G mají mega annoying draft, Imo. Uvidíme, no.
Yeah, but that's where you want that support to be there. So that's why it caught Pays off guard, because you would assume he's going to go back and match that topside play, because now there's no one on the top end of the map to try and catch the potential for this push in. But with Peanut now moving back up towards the top side, they're okay to still soak the wave as Viper. He'll just be a little late on the reset. Look how scared Pays is in the bottom side. Yeah, he's been hovering in that bush for a long while.
He's hanging out, man. He knows that there could definitely be some overloading happening on the map in a lane swap type of game. As mid lane, Chovy getting this wave shoved out, wanted to crash it into the tier 1 here, but Delight is to the side.
And as Pays just reset and went back down bottom side, now they have vision of it, so they also reset and they're going to send Viper back down there into the lane. We'll see if that flash actually ends up getting punished, because Dagda, you mentioned it in Champion Select, but as the game goes later on, that is going to be a very critical flash, and Pays is going to have a very difficult time staying
No, tady v tom downtownu, jak to vidíme dneska. Víme, jestli to bude 2-0 nebo na 2-1, podle toho možná dáme lolečko. Dáme nějaký lolečko podle toho, když to bude 2-0 rychlovka. A po lolečku záleží, jak rychle skončí. Samozřejmě vylosujeme KitKat Kodos. Dáme lolečko. Koukneme na ty klipíky. A potom večer dáme hororovku. Vysáž. Mám poslední chapter, nevím, o čem ten chapter je. Ale už se nebojím té hororovky. Už se nebojím ničeho v té hře. Rozumím té mechanice té hry. Je to easy.
Viper in that bottom side, because in a 3v3 with both solar laners hitting level 6, they're in a great spot.
Yeah, and Peanut with his
Aleš Posránek, ne, Aleš Hrdínek. Aleš Hrdínek. Tak. Já si jdu snad udělat čaj, kurva! Já u těch LCK hry usínám, vole, já úplně ne. Já potřebuji LPL proti LPL, kámo, to je permafight. LCK je prostě... Ty jdou na gruby, ty to crossmapujou, ty berou top turret, ty berou bot turret. Reálně v LCK hrách se 20 minut nic neděje. Naštěstí Riot vymyslel Grubis, takže ty Grubis musíš kontestit. Kámo, reálně, já jsem si myslel, že by měli nerfat Grubíky, ale měli by zůstat tak OP, jak jsou, protože ty musíš kontestit ty Grubíky. Za 3.30 oni musí kontestit Grubíky. Takže bude fight, díky bohu. Jdu si udělat čaj. Chat, nic se nestane, když si půjdu udělat čaj, že ne? Já tady jen počkám na ten gank, nemělo by se nic stát.
No opportunity to really do a whole lot against Lehens and Pays. You saw Chovy also potentially going towards the bottom lane, but ended up going back into mid here instead. Still very close gold between the two squads. Nobody really pulling away with a lead thanks to extra wave management or extra rotations that they were managing to find against their opponents.
Yes, even proti Jonášovi.
Always fun to see and go over to, you know, the relationships between all of these players on these two teams. Not only was finals a banger, but of course Peanut himself and Delight and Dora and all ex-Gen G members, and you know, trying to pay the visit on bottom lane. But respect given and control ward really paid off there, so they got to say hi and bye.
Right? Like, there's so many interactions.
Kdo si myslíte, že má lepší draft?
Know each other so well, not only just from playing in finals, but being on several teams together. So I think it's always
the Griffin memories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's why I think it's really interesting. Whenever you see teams like this go up, it just means there's so many layers
Hanwha,
of layers
všichni myslíte, že Hanwha má lepší draft?
and everything that's going into this that always gets so fascinating to watch.
The Korean onion
Jako
of teams
nemají
and
vůbec
players
špatný draft
constantly
Hanwha, no.
folding from layer to layer, showing us deeper and deeper connections between these guys.
Jen
As we still
nevím,
have
jak
no
budou
kills
hrát
on the
sidelane
board,
proti
8.5
Ahri Nocturne,
minutes
no.
in. Both teams have been fine with this very quiet early game.
Gnar umře na sideline proti Ahri Nocturne podle mě a Jonáš taky.
But really, adding the two extra world champions really does change the way that a team plays, and everyone's so hype on Viper and Zeka especially. Due to their recent play. Let's see about this one though. Paze.
Prediktli to. To byl pěkný predikt. To byl dobrý predikt, by the way.
And that has been the difference. Really big target on Paze back. He's dead and
Minuta do Grubis.
again. So the timer continues here.
Okay.
Now you have to really play around. No flash, no cleanse again. It is just going to be a rough game from him, as we kind of already suspected straight from Champ Select.
And hey, Dagda back at Champ Select, you said Delight's probably best engaged support in the world right now, and he immediately goes in through both summoner spells of Paze, sets it up, knows where he's going to go through the cleanse and the flash, makes it easy to get that kill.
Yeah, and I mean, you get to see him on so many different champions, because when he started, it was definitely Rakan is his pick, and he will show up on it, but he's really evolved as a player now to things like the Rel, the Alistar, and having a ton of these extra engaged supports, and he just looks so sick on, and you got to see it there, how mechanically strong he is on these picks, and setting up now for Viper with that 1-0 kill. He's got Static Shiv. He's going to be such a menace now in just controlling this matchup against Paze.
And Peanut is just so crafty, so intelligent, goes right over there. They get the kill, they get the double summoner spells, and he immediately, invests everything into the shield here. For the Locket, early first purchase for him. Second Grubs, he's going to head right back over there too. They have their duo lane finishing up with the minion wave, and now that they have a nice low item advantage for Peanut himself, he kind of brushes off some of the damage though.
You do need to try and buy time here because Peanut doesn't have his ultimate up and available, which is why Gen G are trying to play off this timing window to attack. Move down from Hanwha Life though.
I don't know if they can get all of them though, because that was also Varus ultimate used for the little chunk of damage.
Yeah. All right, second Void Grub is about half HP. Peanut's gonna step forward, try to take that one. Meanwhile, down to the bottom lane, Doran trying to get away from
Aurora
King.
už
He's
začíná
down
být
100
broken.
HP while the Grubs
4 za 2 gruby a nefajil se, jo.
Secured by Hanwha Life, meaning they will get the Void Might spawns.
Exactly. All of it is just depending on at least getting one grub out of the first pack, and then you still have the threat for the second pack of grubs. Meanwhile, Keen here, the Aurora pick that we were highlighting, also going to be able to get some extra pressure. Pushes in. This should be a turret plate. Very, very close to getting one. Doran's going to say, no turret plate for you. I'm going to take away your minion wave. Even with that juicy, tiny sliver of health away. Keen can't get it quite yet.
Yeah, wanted to get the potential stun underneath the tower. Doesn't manage to hit. Nicely done by Keen to escape, but it does mean Doran will just reset and move back up to the Aurora as the top side, because it's Dragon is now the big protocol. 10 seconds until that one's available. Zeka's good control over the mid lane, but hasn't gone for that reset quite yet. So I think Gen G should be able to get control with Chovy in mid lane, then start to roam down towards this objective. But on the upside, Paze not really in a position quite yet, but should be fine to contest the wave anyway.
Všichni jsou ahead.
Jako
to Hanwha draft, když je ahead, tak mají free hru, protože prostě engagenou a vyhrajou.
And I feel like that's a little bit problematic because when you think back to the Gen G that was dominant like earlier on in the year.
Gen G ale nejvíc jako vyčnívají v makru, jo. V midgameu. V midgameu jsou mega dobří Gen G. Jsem strašně zvědavý, jak budou hrát tu Ahri Nocturne. Ono je to těžký zahrát, je to těžší draft na zahrání, ten Gen G draft, než Hanwha draft, ale
because where do you try and focus? You've no real setup in any of your lanes apart from Chovy, and Zeka's been doing fine with Peanut putting pressure on both sides, and now at the Dragon.
To je jaká jsem mega feedla proti Varusovi. Varus nemá ani first item. To jde trošku naintili. Hanwha to naintili. Proč ultí Nocturne? OK, one-shotli ho. What the fuck? Genji! 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 Já jsem nečekal, že one-shotnou toho Peanuta a Peanut to očividně taky nečekal, protože má furt flash. What? Jak to, že ho tak one-shotli?
Chovy spear rushed over the wall into the way of the Fate Seal, so Zeka couldn't get over despite him flashing away. Really
Já potřebuji VR. Vidět to znova. A teďka dostanou first turret. Wow, 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 wow.
Gets teleported on. This is going to be so low though. Can they?
Zeka immediately arrives, but now the
Tady bude
turret is
fight.
dead.
Tady bude
Zeka
huge
goes in
fight.
1v3 trying to get the kill on Lehens, but there's
Nic,
not
dobrý.
enough damage. Even with the
Tady jsem se divil, že to, že tipuje.
Right now, it's not quite there as the tier 1 turret falls. Peanut now stepping into the river. Normally, I wouldn't even bother talking about Peanut doing that, but after last game, we saw some crazy stuff in the bottom side river, so I got to be careful with those.
Yeah, I mean, they still, Gen G, yeah, they get the advantage in the team fight, get the extra kill here, they get the bottom tower, more gold there, and top side, they're still going to be able to protect, so they teleport immediately back out with Chovy. They kind of rotate their solo laners here as Keen recalls, Chovy goes to replace him on the minion wave, and they keep their defenses strong.
And the fact now that you're back out on the map first is crucial for the Rift Herald.
Viper má KSO. Hele, jako, je to easier comp na zahraní té handry, ale já jsem fakt zvědavý na tu Auroru. Já si myslím, že fakt lidi podceňujou, nebo jako je permaban ta Aurora, ale myslím si, že fakt lidi hrozně podceňují, co ta Aurora, jakože diváci, vy, diváci, podceňujete, co ta Aurora dokáže udělat v kompu, ve fightu, když to hraje dobře ten člověk, tu Auroru.
He could get his experimental hexblade done in advance of the dragon, and so he gets there, still has his full item. They immediately ult onto Peanut, him plus Pays able to take Peanut down and secure their second dragon. So dragon stacking game plan still on course here for Gen G, plus the extra little bit of gold that they did in advantage as well.
Hlavně jsem strašně zvědavý na to, jak teďka Nocturne a hry budou hrát sidelane, protože jak ty chceš za Gnára a za Jonáše farmit sidelane proti Ahry Nocturne? Oni tě vždycky na ultí a zabijou. Myslnou všechno. Víš, ale teďka prostě kdykoliv chci vidět, že kdykoliv, kdy jsou ty redničky down, v momentě, kdy budou ty redničky down, třeba teďka jak Gnar má ty redničku down, a pokud bude ty rednička down na topu, tak Ahry Nocturne může kdykoliv na toho Gnara zaultit a zabít ho.
Just about 16 minutes into the game, still only 3 kills on the board. Pretty low violence game here in our first one of this best of 3. 26,000 to 26.5 thousand gold. Very, very close.
Hlavně chytit Ahry na sideline je insane hard. Insane hard. Ona má 3 ultimátky a flash, to je prostě unkillable. V podstatě.
Kobe talked about Gen G funneling Canyon for that first item. It feels like now Halmar are just going to funnel Zeka. They know how strong with 2 items in his back pocket this Yone can be. And a massive threat in fights, and especially when it comes towards side-lane threat as well, he can threaten Keen, he can threaten Chovy, so
plus
as long as these towers
Face postavil Ninja Tabi, takže bude hodně tanky.
And he can also threaten Pays, so we'll see if the target on Pays back still continues as we transition towards the team fights. And Gen G, of course, they
ale furt nevím ty power spikey, ty Aurory, je to tam vejčam pro mě, no. Kdy jako je to mega broken. Řekl bych, že na 2 itemech, v momentě, kdy postaví 2 itemy, tak je to mega broken, ale nevím.
Solo laners here with the Ahri plus the Aurora, then you have a lot of options that make it
ale Chovy behind na CSK za A a hodně se bojí na tý sidelane, koukám. Nemá vizi, ale i tak viděl všechny na botu. 3 itemy, ale o 16, je to broken, ok.
And the other thing that I always think about when I'm looking at Nocturne in a game, especially when you're up against 2 champions that like to play side lanes, that like to split push like a Yone and a Gnar.
Jo, a teď o tom mluví, jo. Že Nocturne prostě reálně... To můžu zautit, jo, Doran dobře flashnul. Tady je dead straight up. Ojojoj, tady to pointili to, ale Renata ult je huge. Kámo, Renata ult je huge. To bude velký problém pro Hanvu, ta Renata. na ta ult. Tady je fakt dobrá ta renetka. Tady to bude problémeček, hej. Ale tyjo, vemu tier 2, to je good, to je dobrý crossmap. Mají 3 draky, ale Genji, to je... A vemou to ve 3. Kdyby to tady vzal solo, 250 goldů pro každýho z nich není zase tak huge. Kdyby to vzal solo, jo ne, a dostane 700 goldů ahead, tak je to hrozně dobré. Ale čím víc sharuješ tu tier 2 s hráčem, tak tím hůř. Tím hůř, no.
Even though Hanwha are like, okay, fine, you know, that was a good flash and disengage from Lehends. You guys got the kill there. We are going to immediately transition to our next objective. We know you're going to be able to get
teď mě trošku zajímá ten, jak budou ty sidelane hrát, no. Já vím, že to říkám furt víc, ale prostě fakt Ahri Nocturne teďka to bude... Mají Gnar flash? Nemá. IB ten nemusí hrát na něj na Ahri, Ahri může být big side, protože má prostě 3 ultimátky flash. Teďka by klidně Nocturne mohl zaultit Gnara na topu potom. Dobrá mu to. Oni hrajou Aurora weak side, Chovy strong side, ale teďka by mohli klidně hrát, že by všichni hráli kolem Aurory a zabít Gnara na cooldown, protože nemá flash. A má Mercs, takže jako Nocturne ho rozseká. Tady by museli nějak chytit Chovyho Sejuani ultimátkou přes zeď, což on se asi nenechá. Fakt se divím, že ten Nocturne prostě neběží na top lane zaultit Gnara. To je... Mini Gnar zabijou jak nic s Aurorou. Aurora Nocturne.
Options kind of covered off, and you take away the possible moves that HLE want to make even before they make them.
And that's the thing again, is where we just see that play of Nocturne covering bot to get Chovy into position. Well, Chovy then roams mid, they get the mid tower. And also respect for FaZe, because this man is playing incredibly safe on the mid wave. He knows how valuable his flash and cleanse are for these fights. He's not even stepping up to finish off the tower there. He's like, no, the minions will do the work. As long as I stay safe, this game we can win it out as Genji, just playing at the map stays.
Yeah, so I'm so looking forward to this next big team fight. Because HLE, like we said, they've constantly
za 2,5 minuty už solo fight pro Genji. To je dobrý pressure, oni pak můžou crossmapovat a nemusí brát draka. Jaký mám čaj, nějaký malinový oc, ne? S medem domácím.
They even have a couple extra 100 gold here in inventory, and it's in a lot of the right places too. With one of the kills going over to Viper. That Kai'Sa is another Kai'Sa that you have a ton of faith in these team fights. Like Viper has just been insane, so we'll see what HLE can do on the next one.
Baron start, aha. Tady by mohli zaultit toho Gnara, by the way. Oni byli všichni na ní, a tohle bude flipík, hej, tohle je flipík. Actually rush. Rush a flash off. Rush a flash off a mají to. Možná ani Nocturna nezabijou, pokud flashne. Ty vole. A dívej, čo by si z nich ještě dělá prdel. To je split map decision, kámo. Vidí prostě, že Kajsička havruje botlane, vidí 2 lidi na botlane. Rush.
Varus, who will rip through the percentage health of that Baron buff, and it's a perfect call, even using the darkness again as a retreat tool, because you just don't know what's the health on the Baron.
A jak strašně annoying je, že oni rushou na Shora a ty prostě Nocturna zaultí a ty nevidíš nic. A musíš prostě... A jediný, co mě chybí, je, že ta Nocturna neultí toho Gnara. Na sidelane. Že nechávají farmit Gnara. Heal up the 40% chunk that he took from Zeka in the bottom lane. They knew to full send it. They get everybody out momentálně nejlepší midlaner. Měl by být, ano. Ale oni všichni ti korejští midlaneři jsou good. Showmaker to tu minulou sérii teda chokoval. wow.
Ale
Zeka je good, Chove je good, Faker je OK, Showmaker je good.
Are able to actually fully finish off the Baron and then still rotate down to the other side of the map. 20 seconds on this very early Dragon Soul. Gen G have been so clean with it, but critical breaking point is about to approach again. HLE have at least kept up.
Tady to bude 5v5 fight. Mně by se líbilo, kdyby jako forcli nějaký. Oni šli na Sejuani zase a one-shotnuli. To je crazy. Pane bože! Čus, Gen G minus. Wow. Hej, proč to nikdo neflashnul, ale Turel flash. Jaj, Rel je broken. Kámo, kdy už začnou first pickovat Rel, to každou hru vidím Rel 5-man ult.
Able to destroy them and HLE that also denies the Dragon Soul.
Ale tady mě to překvapí, že teda ty vole zabijou Sejuani insta a tady, že jdou furt dál a že se tak grupujou a nikdo neflashne. To je mega, a oni flashnou potom, víš, to je, ty vole. Rel je broken prostě. Protože problém s Rel je, že ty pokud neflashneš předtím, než ona flashne, tak dostaneš stun. Ty vole. Wow. Zápek.
Perfect facial expression.
That's a perfect meme. Another meme for the tournament, baby.
Team fight damage, man. Over 4,000 from Zeka. Nearly the same for Viper on his Kai'Sa. And now Hanwha Life, after it looked like they were about to lose the Dragon Soul, lose their control over the game. Delight on the Rel.
Dost se mi nelíbí, že jako zatím Nocturne zaultil ani jednou sidelane. Jako Rel by měli nerfnout, oni ji nerfovali, ale ten champ je tak strašně dogshit OP. Víš, co je nejvíc OP na Rel? Protože ty nemůžeš flashnout její ult. V momentě, kdy ona tě pulne ultou, tak nemůžeš flashnout. A nejde to cleansnout. Je to úplná... Kdybys to aspoň mohl cleansnout a flashnout, ale to nejde. Tam jde cleansnout jenom Kvéčko.
Oh, it got us. It was like immediately, it was like, you know, you come off, the blindfold comes and you're like, okay, play this one out. What are you gonna do?
Nocturne ani jednou nezaultil sidelane, toho Jonáše nebo toho Gnára. Mega weird. Tady ho chytnou a zabijou. Oh, dobrý ten, ale je dead. Tam ho dobře chytli, to bylo pěkný, to bylo hodně pěkný. Teď se dostávají do problému, protože nemají damage. Reálně nemají damage.
I think Ox probably grinning from ear to ear as he looks again, because this has been a great performance from Hanwha, but we did call this when we saw the draft from Gen G. They needed to be clinical, they needed to not make mistakes, and unfortunately they group up that one time, and now Hanwha just get to use the strength of their engage, their tanky front line, their great DPS in this Yone and Kai'Sa to blitz through what is a very squishy team from Gen G.
Yeah, now they're just a very rich hammer that is going to just force plays.
A gold-plated hammer.
Gold-plated hammer just going to force plays everywhere because they already gave you a taste of the engage, and now they've just got so much extra money on the carries.
Pomalu, ale jestli to ty World Teamy začínají chápat, že prostě je 4-5 vždycky pikní v Rel. No matter what, je Rel open pick it. Rel Yone combo je insane, Rel cokoliv insane. Ten chap je prostě broken. A nejhorší je, že broken už reálně tak rok v kuse.
And you just said 3, but right after you said it, man, Viper just bought an arm guard, and normally I would call that a half an item. That is the most broken active in League of Legends. That, it might as well be a full item until that thing breaks, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. This dude can now fly in and
Kai'Sa 5-0 a má ještě stopwatch.
Yeah, especially with Kai'Sa. You love to see the AD carries that are just jumping into danger, outplaying it at every turn. Let's see, can Gen G do something surprising here though? They've got a lot of like surprise tools. We mentioned earlier the pick potential of Aurora, Nocturne, Ahri, you know, things that you want to try and like cobble together, but
Trash je
it's so
useless
hard
support.
now because your map has just been taken over. And there's not a lot of areas for you to set those plays up. HLE, you can see them very cohesively moving as a team. To try and take
Jak to
over
teď Chovy
Vision
chcou,
and
jak teda, jak to
allow
tady
Genji
Genji
to
chcou
get
vyhrát?
their pick now to try and get back into the game.
Vůbec nehrajou sidelane. Tady dostanou Vancho. Nezareagoval včas. Dobrá Seju ult. To je game over reálně. Oni prohráli hru na to, že prostě udělali to, co měli předtím. Oni měli 3 draky, Soula byla jejich, když zabili Sejuani, a pak prostě udělají chybu to, že nebacknou, že pokračují v chaseování a Rel tam engage a vyhraje hru. To je crazy. Canyon ale musí zaultit toho Gnara třeba, já to fakt nechápu. Když je Aurora...
Plus, you see the super deep wards. The deep ward in mid lane is what Peanut saw him on. He was like, okay, Chovy's mid. Peanut can get into position, flash over the wall to make sure they can find their pick. Even on a champion as slippery as Ahri, they instantly
Další
deleted
fight
it. But now,
Gnar bude mít mega a bude mít
attempt at this
TP.
soul.
Kajsička poukuje. Tady je to good pro Hanwha v 5v5. A je to pulnutý do... Oj, tohle vypadá dobře pro Hanwhu. Tohle nevypadá good. Tady musí backnout. A nechat draka. Genji. A ještě možná umřou, protože dostanou engage. A, netrefenej, netrefenej, netrefenej. Kamo Rel, jak je OP, ale Rel. Pace se tam nemůže... Pace má cleanse a nemůže se hejbat, protože Rel ho prostě zastunuje. To je úplná pičovina, kámo. Crazy. Ty si v podstatě vemeš cleanse, abys mohl cleansnout Rel, ale ty spely nejdou cleansnout. Ultimátka nejde cleansnout. Takže stejně máš 2 vteřiny CC. Ty vole, ale jako insane. Genji byli celou dobu v kontrole a hráli pěkně a prostě jedna chyba a Hanwha je dost dobrý tým na to, aby když Genji udělá jednu chybu, aby vyhráli. Ban Rel 4-5. Tohle je potenciál mít 3 hry, jo, tahle hra. Ale ban Rel, legit ban Rel. Co je counter do Rel? Nemá counter ten champ. Smolder Jax. Nidalee Ziggs. Ban Rel. For 5 Rel musí být ban, já to fakt nechápu, že není. Hlavně 1, 2, 3 ty můžeš piknout na red side můžeš jít Rel na 3 a piknout a zabanovat prostě Alistara třeba nebo Poppy.
Like confident on the Aurora pick. I think it's like it probably looks really good in
Yoneban,
scenarios where you get to catch someone and pop off, but I feel like in organized team fights it hasn't had quite the same impact. So
Open Vi, Aurora, okay. Ta Aurora vypadala hodně, jako nic to nedělalo tu hru.
They were willing to not ban Yone on red side and then pick up the Aurora, then they're like definitely still willing to first pick it here on the blue side.
Ale trvá jim to rozhodnout.
Or at the very least hover it. We'll see about the final lock-in.
They got it. All right, so it's Aurora first for the side of Genji. Jax, Smolder, Maokai banned out by their side. Hanwha gonna go ahead.
Vi open, Ashe open.
Alongside the Nidalee and the Ziggs. You know, Kobe, coming from North America, where Nidalee is just nothing but a bait pick all the time. I have to remember when we get to these international competitions that, oh yeah, you really do have to ban this away from Kenya. Like, this is a real champion.
Rel je open. Blue side je víc OP? Ano, je.
Another Vi combination here, so again, similarly to the previous ones that we saw, it's like you go for an AP like kill-oriented matchup with Vi.
Rumble jsme zapomněli, že je open. Vi Rumble je good, zase Nocturne. Kámo, reálně toho Nocturna nehrál dobře ten Canyon. On ani jednou nezaultil sidelane. Ani jednou. Akali, wow.
the other pick.
OK, instapick Akali.
World champion of 2022, Zeka.
Tohle je divný, tyjo, že prostě...
Put some honor on that.
Yeah, on the Akali. Oh man, this is
Že hrál zase Nocturna.
back at Worlds.
Měl 3 draky, skoro 4, to jo, to. Ale Nocturne je fakt pikovaný kvůli tomu, že potom enemy nemůže farmit sidelane. Víš, že potom budou behind na sidelane prostě, protože Nocturne nemůže kdykoliv zaultit a zabít.
Yeah, and the interesting thing here for me is, although the sides are swapped, Gen G's running it back from game one, right? Like, you look at the three champions that they've picked, we're doing the exact same stuff. Meanwhile, on Hanwha Life, everything's looking a little bit different here.
Yeah, I do like the Renata ban, though, because that was kind of clutching a lot of games where it was
Renata byla
going
nepříjemná, no.
to dissuade you from that big dive, which you can already see Hanwha setting up for. So I'm curious if we get the Ezreal and the Kai'Sa ban now coming through on towards Viper just to deny that easy follow-up, and then it becomes a case of what do you want to try and take into that AD carry position when so many of those easy self-reliant champions are removed from the pool.
Zaya.
All right, Renata, Zaya,
Zaya je zrovna dobrá pro Hanwhu. Ban Rel. Ban Rel. Ban Rel.
We got some good games. We got some chill beats. We might as well.
Ban Rel.
How else would you want to spend your weekend, you know?
All right, what else we got?
Kai'Sa ban, okay.
Viper's been scary.
Kai'Sa ban je good.
All right, we take out the Kai'Sa possibilities with the dive. Of course, even with just the
Pum.
buy, you're already scared about any of the setups for that champ. And by banning out the Kai'Sa, you also kind of break up and lower a little bit.
Jako měli by reálně piknout AD a pak pikovat support counter pick, ale Rel je open.
And win the entire fight. Viper's definitely been a Jhin lover, so we're gonna have some more long range, more CC as well from this champ. A lot of possibilities here actually for HLE for some kind of drawn out team fights.
Kai'Sa Rel, boom.
For Delight, which is going to work out fantastically as well.
Mohla
You just
by
saw
být
how
good.
good he was in the Rel, but now you get to answer for whatever Lehends wants to go for.
Yep.
With the Kalista hovered, I'm still imagining something like an Alistair probably for Lehends, and maybe you just gift the Rel across. Just so
Ne,
you
Rel je
can
lepší.
answer into so many of these knockups, having the Alistair and that repeat send into the Fate's
5-1
Call just
je
gives so much
Kalista, jo,
bounce
hustý.
potential to Gen G.
And since we're already on the last pick, we know that there's no place for Sylas
Jako
to fit in
Renata
the
by byla
enemy
good,
call.
ale zabanovaná. Kalista Renata by byla good.
Also, because we're so late in the draft, I also really like the late Jhin picks. You know, Jhin picks when you already see enemy top and jungle picked, so you know there's not going to be like super beefy tanks of Skarner and stuff like that in it, and so you have faith that you know the Jhin is going to be able to do plenty of damage, and there is a lot of squishy members on the side of Gen G. That being said, they do at least lock in the Leona here to have their real linchpin on their side to bring together the full engage. And they have so much possibilities again on Gen G. We mentioned their pick potential.
A on pikne Rel anyway, protože Rel je broken.
And I always like Leona into Jhin as well because it's so easy for if he opens up the curtain call and you're trying to disengage or anything, you can just throw the solar flare and just, all right, curtain's done.
Spotlight's
Zvláštní,
need to move on.
Well, there is the Rel that we were expecting once again for Delight.
Yeah, and I do think it works out perfectly here. You just have follow-up great engage on Peanut with the buy. You've got two very much dive carry potentials coming through from the Akali with just her ult, but also
Midgame comp pro Gen G, mega midgame comp pro Gen G. Hanwha scaluje dobře, ale má i silný midgame. Ale botlane je hard, Jhin Rel je...
Yes, you've got a Leona who can face check this, but it's a very similar composition to what we saw in the last game.
Bude lane swap možná.
So does that mean, let me ask you this, gentlemen, we'll just be direct about it. Did Hanwha win draft?
I don't think it's that big of a difference. I think this one is going to be gameplay for sure.
Okay. Those are my favorite ones,
because,
to be honest.
Honestly, there is so much pressure on the side of Gen G with the lanes that they have drafted here. And remember, back to the first game, like it was just because Hanwha were able to get the big team fight and full combo on them. Gen G had been able to maneuver objectives really favorably for themselves. And so, I have no problem with a lot of the re-picks here for Gen G.
I'm just curious if we do get another lane swap, because it did definitely help in the early stages for Hanwha and just being able to avoid a lot of these terrible matchups, because at the moment you're still looking at 3 pushing lanes for Gen G, which is always a terrifying prospect to give across to this team.
Oh yeah. All right, let's see if Gen.G
No.
can take us to a third game. Remember, the original LCK finals, the summer finals that we had just a few weeks ago, did go the distance all the way to game number 5. We'll see if Gen.G can take us all the way to the third game here in this one, or if Hanwha is going to be our second team.
Uvidíme, jak budou hrát, no,
heading to
gameplay je
Paris
to.
for the quarterfinals, if they can repeat the success
Je
that
to
LNG
takový,
just had with
není
the
to jednoznačný
2-0.
draft, je to takový 50-50 a gameplay, no.
Gen.G invading enemy jungle here, gonna force Peanut back. As Lahens and Keen step far forward into the chicken brush. Looks like Hanwha Life not super interested in this.
Yeah, nice full jungle takeover there for Gen.G to be able to suss out any early spread play here from HLE, but HLE, ooh, quite
Bude
good
lane
stuff,
salvos, ne?
Does find the ward. On World Patch 2, the wards still give a little bit of experience. So nice little boost there.
Proč hraje Grasp na tu Ahri, přijde mi to
Plus
useless.
the bottom lane.
Jako do míliček to můžeš perma prokovat ten Grasp. A healuje tě to, ale nevím, no, přijde mi třeba tuhle hru Electrocute better. Ale ono je, tu Akali, když má Doran Shield a Second Wind, tak stejně se špatně jako denyuje, víš? A máme classic laney.
That has CC in it that is going to bring you there. And it was a beautiful, deviation from normal play to go up there, play off of the Renekton stun and get it, but should just be full clears for both junglers to opposite
A hraje
sides.
B-champ. A hraje... Já bych neřekl, že hraje B-champ. Já bych řekl, že hraje dost dobrý champ. Jen prostě fakt musíš vědět, co přesně děláš. A tady dostává Chovy docela jako spacenu to. A hodně traduje. Wow, dobrý trade, dobrý.
Gen.G talking about their golden road even. You know, really big combo breaker here. That Hanwha were able to pull off in finals, and they're not stopping. They want to do it in Worlds as well, with already being a game up.
Gentlemen, we're talking about the past right now. I am just so much loving the present because there is no lane swap. That is always a blessing here in a game of Modern League of Legends, as once again, our reminder, Mercedes featured matchup, the mid lane, Chovy versus Zeka, the Ahri. Last time around,
Se hraje Renekton top. A kdo hraje Renekton top?
as he has done in most matchups so far in Worlds.
Málo kdo
This
hraje
time
Renekton
around,
top.
Ahri versus Akali.
And sorry to take you to the past again, Flowers, but that featured matchup does have roots in semifinals of Worlds, and Zeka taking us back here with the Akali as well, back to when he did get the World Championship for himself. Of course, the early stages against Chovy's Ahri are going to be a little bit difficult, getting pushed in a bunch, and the Ahri also going the Grasp here, stacking that up.
Ooh, Doran with the flash, but Keen immediately flashing back away as Peanut was going top, looking for the angle.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of expecting, to wait for Peanut to come in. You try and look for the slow with the harpoon, and then maybe you can get a flash from Keen and keep Doran's, because then you've got a bit more kill potential from Doran if you do land an electric
Mám ty
harpoon
casty dát
on
víc
towards
na
Keen,
hlas?
but just flash for flash burn to that top side, and you still got Peanut who's just
Přemýšlím,
going to look for the reset
to je
now.
jako, jak to
I do want to go back
skoro.
towards the conversation, because I think Zeka 2022 we look and go, oh well, it was like Akali's and Silas's in the meta, and that's why Zeka really popped off, but he has really grown as a player over this last period, where he has started adding tons more to his champion pool. Like, he looks insane on picks like the Azir, he looked great in the AD carry meta. This guy has come in as an all-rounder now, as just a very, very competent and strong mid laner that you always have to fear.
Hens backing up a little bit here as Delight found that shattering strike on him, but HLE pretty much undeterred down here in the bottom lane farm fest.
Mají tady Vardu,
So
takže
nice little pings too. You can always see Gen.G
pokud Vibe přijde, tak ví.
tracking enemy jungle. Of course, they know it was bot side clear for Peanut, and it was going to be very standard for Vibe, but it was perfect timing there. You see the blue ping immediately on Gromp. They know he's going for his re-clear of his second path. So bot lane also knows, hey, it's a possible hover there.
Nemají TP na midu,
So they get pushed in.
midasy.
They don't want to do
A Chovy je
anything
docela
crazy right
pouknutý.
now to draw any extra attention, and it kind of keeps that semi-timer on enemy jungle so that you know where he's going
Dobrý
to go in the
poke.
future.
Lehens with the engage on Viper, forcing out the cleanse, dropping the ignite on him as well. Viper can walk off without needing to use the flash, but he is pretty hurt now. And the aggro of Gen G here in this bottom lane, the power of Kalista.
Dobrý, čo vyhraje dobře zatím. Hrozně to spaceuje, kámo. Jo. Ty vole, dobře to spaceuje, Chovy.
And just nicely continue this objective control that I think Gen G really want to get rolling, especially when you can play heavily through all three
krása
lanes.
koukat.
Void Grubs become so nice for turret takes, but to like cause, just gotta step away.
Yep, he's fine.
Kalista má hail, ne press attack, jo, by the way.
The mid lane matchup that we were just looking at, and I like how the analyst has touched on how good Zeka is, especially in the early stages of the melee versus range matchups.
Sudden impact,
with his CS versus Chovy's already on the Yone, and also was trying to keep up pretty well here on the Akali. A little bit difficult, of course, taking deficit, but
2 body do Quečka, 2 body do Ečka, zajímavý.
And into the level 6 point where Akali finally does have some possibilities of joining some of these fights where Peanut's actually trying to sneak away one of these grubs real quick.
Yep.
Grabs one without having to use his smite.
Tohle je by the way huge, když takhle prostě veme jednoho graba, stealne to prostě reálně. Tohle bylo hrozně dobrý od Peanuta. Protože oni mají právo na midu, právo na topu, botlane swapuje dřív na ty grubíky, tady by byli 3 grubíci určitě pro Nocturnu. A Peanut to pochopil a stealnul grubíka jednoho. To je huge. Aby pak neměli tolik pressure s grubíkama. Musel zaultit. A ještě vemou retakenou draka, ne? Jo. To je dobré.
That is so massive for Gen G, and big credit to Lehens for positioning and timing and being there to be able to get Zeka's ult on the Akali plus the flash. Means you now don't really have to worry about any of the early burst damage and early possibilities of even getting money to snowball into the Ahri. Plus, you chase them off the objective trade there. They get the extra grub as well as the dragon. Thanks for the leash, Mr. Peanut. But they already got mid-priority first, and mid-priority very frequently does translate into those neutral objectives. So nicely
reverse sweep reverse sweep není prostě, když je 1-0. Když je BO3, tak jako jo, je to reverse sweep, ale není to reverse sweep.
And Lehens was so impressive
jako
yesterday.
ale
His ability to be in the right place at the right time, catching out so many members of the enemy team, like wrapping around the back of that Baron pit to set up so many of these early engages and get Gen G into
jako Akali tady bude huge, jo, v té hře.
Okay, Lehens trying to get back away from this one, shattering
Ty vole, to kvéčko.
not connecting there. Lehens doing a good job
Kalisty.
staying just slightly above the hitbox.
Maxuje kvéčko, že? A hraje armor pen.
I love a little perfect sidestep there.
A zatím
Able to
kvé.
avoid
A
as
to dal
well.
takový
So
damage.
honestly, very nice stuff here again in the opening session for Gen G. As far as the objectives are controlled. Canyon again farming here on the Nocturne, trying to get up to his experimental hexplate as quickly as possible, trying to hit that breakpoint just before the next dragon, and seems to be on pace.
All right, still pretty calm early game, similar to last time around. The team's just not interested in all the PvP angles, instead just farming it up, getting to the point where they feel like they're better suited to find some of those bigger fights, I would suppose. Gen G with a nice early lead, though, about 800 gold or so.
But that's what we are kind of expecting from Gen G coming into this ride. You have 3 pushing lanes, just let them do their thing and start to get these lane advantages, and you can see...
Ale jakoby zas usínám, chat. Má to někdo tak stejně?
Just take it slow, play for push, play for void grubs, reset, come back out,
v tomhle zbožňuji LPL týmy, ty permafajti.
Look for your next dragon. Everything on Gen G is already laid out as a very easy roadmap to follow. It is on hot.
Ono to je ale bez takým počasím, jak je prostě teď, hej, ale já nechápu, jak se to počasí tak rychle změnilo. Pamatujete si, oni byli prostě 30kový vedra a prostě týden na to pršelo, já nevím, jak dlouho pršelo. týden v kuse a od té doby je prostě, pak bylo asi jeden den hezký a od té doby je prostě furt šero, každý den je šero. Každý den to vypadá, jak kdyby jsme byli v peklu. Chybí mě Kalifornie, tam bylo světla, všude. Tady je to fakt, jak kdyby jsme byli v pekle. Když si vsadíš, tak kde usíráš? Pošli tiket za barák a neusneš.
Such a good setup here for the second pack of grubs where we know there's gonna be emphasis on those grubs.
Tady to počasí je prostě takový to počasí na koukání nového seriálu nebo anime. Kdy prostě si zapneš ten One Piece, co má 1100 epizod a koukáš a binge-watchuješ 1100 epizod One Pieceu. FDFD.
For themselves, probably 5, since nobody is heading over for HLE. And HLE, once again, trying to do the cross.
Ještě aby se neřeklo, tak u toho máš nějakou čičinku.
And they'll go for
Ideál.
some turret plate money bottom.
It's still Jin though. And even with the demolish that's coming through from Delight, they are very slow at taking these towers. So in the grand scheme of things, you're still happy enough to take this trade as JG.
Já musím přestat epizod kofein, kámo. Já reálně i s kofeinem jsem unavený. Minimálně po Worlds, tak na 2 týdny přestanu používat kofein.
Yeah, especially because later into the game, the extra grub with the void might there.
Tady při takovéhle příležitosti, kdy se nic neděje, tak je to takový ten, mohli bychom si povídat. Když jsi zelený čaj, mám v sobě ekvivalent 2 madmonků a jsem unavený. Nechci mazlíčka momentálně, no. Když by mě... Chtěl bych kočičku, když by mě ta kočička garantovala, že mě kurva nebude budit v noci, že chce granulky. Protože není nic horšího, když tě kočka budí, vole, ve 4 ráno, každý 4 ráno, že chce granulky. Protože je nenažraná. Reálně víš, co bych musel koupit té kočce? Takový ten timing, takový ten automatický granulkovač. Že se každý 3 hoďky otevře granul, prostě spadne pár granulek. A, nebyla by tlustá svině a B, nesrala by mě ve 4 ráno, že chce granulky. Granulky dáš večer a to nesežere do rána. Ty pičo, tak to u Uršulky by se zdivil, kámo. Tam měla appetite. Tam si dal celou misku a za 2 hoďky to bylo sežraný. A pak tě packovala, že chce víc. Wow. Yay, kill guys! Rumble TP! Actions is coming! A hry to dodge, ne? Dash, ne?
Can't find the kill on Chovy. Hanwha thought they might have seen a counterpunch there, but Gen G gets away from it.
Great job from Lehens to lock down Zeka in that shroud. Peanut steps forward.
Oh, hold on now. Between worlds, Peanut could be in a little bit of trouble, but Viper's coming down to look to help him.
Tady je to free win pro Genji, ne? Actually, dobrý flash.
Delight wants to go in. Lehens finally drops. Viper gets the kill. The curtains are cold.
Boom!
Again, a double kill back over the Viper. Zeka shows up.
Jsem zapomněl na teleporty.
Has arrived, and Gen G overstays their welcome.
Gen G got duped. They thought they were the ones with the advantage, trying to push through, seeing if they get just a smidgen more of those kills in their favor. But it's actually Hanwha, whoever to turn it around with some great shots raining down from Viper.
Yeah, I mean, Gen G win the
Tady to face checknou, oni zabili tu Akali, že jo, tady to face checknou. Tady je to trochu sus, ale myslel jsem si, že prostě zabijou Vi. A zapomněl jsem tady na teleport a že Rumble má flash a to je dosralo. To je reálně úplně dosralo. Tam neměli fightit, protože Jin teďka může zaultit také chatnout je. Ale furt mají kolik? 5 grubů a 2 draky. Ten coach je funny, no. Ten coach je funny. Ale mají 5 grubů, mají 2 draky, budou mít Heralda.
They try to burst him out, and he just gets the shield off his passive and the Sunder Skies proc, which makes it really difficult to take him down and just buys that little bit of extra time. But this is still a Gen G favorite map, and the Mascot lane economy snapshot showing that Viper, with that static shiv, very far ahead of Paze, but how much can this Jhin do against the onslaught of
Mid
Gen
tureta
G?
by měla padnout, bot tureta padne za to.
All right, here comes the Rift Herald. The Herald alone won't be able to kill the turret, but a demolish proc plus a charge, that is the end of the road.
A teď otázka, půjdou s tím Heraldem na top lane? Nebo na bot lane?
Hanwha had already secured the
Kam
one
jede?
in the bottom lane for themselves. The Hens drifting.
OK, a teď je dead. Není? Dobrý, oni zaultili, aby po něm nešli. Kámo, Cápek tam zajel drift, vole, Tokyo drift.
Five-head driving through enemy jungle to get the back door on the bot turret there, takes it, gets out alive, extra bonus objective there. Now that's what you call efficiency.
Už jsem jak Honzíček.
When they first made this change in the game, we saw so many people wreck the Herald into a wall or drive it a little bit silly. Everybody's got their license now. Everybody knows how to drive this thing, and Lahins might as well be a professional at it. This guy knows how to maneuver that Herald through enemy territory. Gen G, still though, they're only 500 gold ahead, despite the fact that they've had the lead for the longest time in the game because of that counterattack that Hanwha had underneath the tier 1 turret earlier. It's still so close.
I think the difference though is now Gen G have 2 of those outer towers down, and they get to just use these aggressive lanes now to push Hanwha back further and further on the map, then drift up towards this top side, take the top tower, and then just continuously keep them pushed back. Third Dragon though, now in 45 seconds, will alleviate some pressure where Hanwha can maybe find success of a fight with the Hens.
He's fine. He's chilling. He's Leona. It's all right.
He's a very lonely Leona though, so I got a little nervous.
Leona. Well, luckily he's got some buddies now. He can get back to the safety of Chovy right next to him. Hanwha gonna take the opportunity, just get this mid lane shoved up. Oh, unlucky for Jhin. Deadly Flourish missed just by a sliver. But, oh well, Doran farming a bottom lane here now on the Rumble as well. Does have his Proto Belt, is level 12, so he has the second level of the ulti. We know that Rumble is a mid-game team fight monster, and I want to see if HLE can find an angle to really get the most out of that.
And Viper himself, even though he used his flash offensively in that bot side play to collect the extra kill, his flash is going to come off cooldown just a couple seconds after Dragon, so it's going to be ready.
Ooh, the Deadly Flourish there on Canyon forces him to use Paranoia defensively. As now HLE has all 5 players here in the bot side river. They know that Gen G took the first 2 Drakes. They don't want to give them the soul point, not on an Infernal map especially. So now HLE overloading this part of the map means they're going to secure the Drake, and Gen G are saying, fine, take it. They want to go and trade the tier 2 turret back in the mid lane at the same time, but it ain't going to work out so well as the Hens tries to get away, but he's locked up, beat down, finally saved by Paze, who uses that Kalista ultimate to keep his teammate around. Zeka goes in, perfect execution over the wall, but it's not perfect enough. Zeka just barely misses the damage and throws his own life away.
They thought that with the Paranoia down, Hanwha would have an advantage. Gen G tried to trade for mid-turret, but the overextension from Zeka, hoping to get a couple more kills, ends up just gifting one back to Gen G and sets them up for the top lane tower as well.
And those are the benefits of really quickly moving on to the next objective. You know, Gen G are like, all right, fine, we don't have an Nocturne ultimate, we're not going to chase you, we're not going to mess around with you at Dragon. They immediately went mid lane to push on mid lane, and then as soon as the rest of HLE are rotating over, they kite backwards, and even with it getting a little dicey, Len's taking a large amount of damage before the Kalista ult came in, it just even kind of acted as bait there, as they're able to flash over the back of Baron Pit, draw them in, and even come out with an extra kill on top of the top tower that Aurora is able to get.
3-3, 32.6 to 30.7 in the gold. Next Drake not going to spawn for a few more minutes. Baron will be alive in 40, but the game is so close. I don't really see anybody rushing towards it. We talk about Baron rushes and stuff like the previous game where we had a Varus with Bork and Ginsu. Kalista with lethality items and a Jhin just being Jhin. Neither one of those going to do the same level of rushing on a Baron, I don't think.
Yeah, I think this is where all you really want as Gen G is to use the pressure Nocturne creates on the map. You have a push-in boss. You can already see Canyon is just kind of babysitting Chovy a little bit as he gets that lane pushed in, but he's always pressuring both bot and mid, which is opening up then for the pressure
Stalo
on
se
mid
něco?
to alleviate in towards Keen on top side.
Nebo
And
se nic
continuously
nestalo.
just moving across all
Úplný
these
hovno
three
se
lanes,
stalo,
making
ne?
it nearly impossible for Hanwha to really contest you. And at that stage then, you get the
Ne,
vision you need in the
XD.
jungle to then actually pull the trigger with this Nocturne ultimate. Or even if you don't for the next 3 minutes, you still get so much control for the likes of that dragon or any other objective on the map. So I think the slow and steady will continue for Gen G here.
Gen G with all of those gold leads in every role except for the marksman role. Going back to what I was talking about in game number 1, remember when these guys are so dominant in their league, when they are running the show, it's because they're outpacing everybody. Back in the era of the AP junglers with the AD mids, back in the era it was just turbo farm, turbo farm, turbo farm. They're really good at setting that pace and making it so hard for opponents to keep up with them. It feels like you're drowning. Even if you're even in kills and the fights feel pretty close, these guys are constantly just pushing the needle ever so slightly further and further ahead.
And again, in this
Tady
game,
to zahrali
setting themselves
Bůh.
up so ahead in the objective area. Now someone just needs to message them.
Ježiš,
hey,
já mám
don't group
teplou
up in front of the
kofolu, no
light.
to ne, oni mi dali teplou kofolu.
Just remember, don't get jumped on there. And
To je
as long as
seč.
you're able to do that and leverage the tools that you
Teplá
guys are
kofola
talking
cizí
about, they
neštěstí, vole.
should be able to have these incremental advantages
I don't
with
think
the
I do.
extra leverage of threat of Nocturne ultimate on these side lanes pushing.
Čet, nevím čím to je s tím spánkem, jestli těma 12 hodinová streamama poslední dobou. Nedostatkem pohybu a nechoděním do gymu poslední týden. Skrze World. Ale cítím se jako Ben Affleck.
I think even just getting a second item onto Canyon would be super nice as well. With a minute left on towards the next objective, these
Reálně
points
se
are gonna
cítím
make
takhle.
such a big difference, especially when you look at, oh well, Viper now picking up his
Za
second
poslední
item.
3 dny se
Shadow
takhle
Flame
cítím.
kind of almost there for a second.
Reálně nevím čím to je, jestli je to prostě
This
tím
is where these
voltem,
little
tím, že se nehejbu a necvičím,
small incremental
spánkem,
advantages can come back to
nebo
break
tím,
the game open for
ale
Gen G.
cítím se tak. Teď jel jsem ve výtahu a úplně jsem si říkal, ty vole, já jsem jak ten Ben Affleck s tím cigárkem. Brouchu, děkuju.
Second fully completed item for Keen. You've got the Cosmic Drive, you've got the Leandries. This Aurora can be an absolute menace if she's just allowed to do the damage in the middle of the fight.
To jsou takový ty hranolečky s tou kurčičkou. Jak mají tu kurčičku, kůžičku, nebo já nevím, co to je. A jsou křupaví. Ty jsou nejlepší.
But Delight is able to do it, even finally gets the ward onto the Baron. I mean, for the majority of the year,
Šlupka, ano,
Gen G is
šlupka.
credited as being the best macro team in the entire world, and they're still just continually setting themselves up for success.
And I think
To
as the
Laharo,
players
ne,
start
ne,
to
to
develop and
Armed
get those
Burger.
advantages, even looking at Pay's build, he's gone for this lethality
Jmenuje se
Kalista,
to
which
Armed
is all
Burger.
for I get push on mid wave and I cleared these waves very quickly, but less of a massive threat when it comes to
Tak bude
versus team
fight?
fight. So I think that's why Gen G still need to be a little
Musí
nervous
si
as
dát
they
bacha na
enter in
to,
towards this
na
very dark dragon area.
I mean,
nesmí být low, oni musí engagenout, zabít někoho a disengagenout. A nebo full in, all in a zabít všechny. Gen G.
Kill targets, even on both teams. So let's look at the setup here once again.
No, já jsem si objednal a do 20 minut mi to dovezli, to bylo hrozně rychle. Tak se divím, že jako nic neudělal, že nedal dvojitý Včko, ani ten Tarel. Tady musí bacha na Jina, bacha na Jina, bacha na Jina. Dobrý. Kdyby se nechali napoukovat víc, tak pak Jin má dobrou ultu. Ale Chovy to vole ultí z Afriky a Tarel nedá prostě nic, ani flash, ani W, nic. To je divný.
Beautiful stuff here from Gen G to even get themselves to a soul point. pretty quickly into the game, considering they gave up one of the Infernal Dragons and they're not even done.
Ooh, Doran with the flash over the wall to try to escape, but as soon as that summoner spell is down, Aurora's going between worlds, and Doran is trying to get all the way back to safety. Peanut down to 100 HP. Paze jumps forward with a beautiful shot from the Pierce to take him down.
Doran didn't realize he was backing on a ward and didn't want to blow that summoner spell early because Flash is the only way he can get out of that Aurora ult. And as soon as he does, Keen picks him
Nemají
off.
Rumble ultimátku,
Sets up for the pick.
nemají Vi.
Actually, they turn on to Pinos
Nemají
to
Barona,
actually finish
asi
off
ne.
the jungler from Homma instead.
Hrajou to safe raději.
Gen.G looking good here in the second game. Now on Soul Point in 4 minutes. An Infernal Soul threat on this team could be absolutely harrowing for HLE, but they're having such a difficult time getting close. Gen.G getting so much value out of this Nocturne ulti like you're talking about. Every single time there's one of those big moments. And these guys are so good at team fighting, both teams.
Mám tu kofolu pít teplo, anebo si dát do mrazáku na chvíli.
I feel like is making such a difference in HLE not being able to respond to Gen.G.
And we've got some, you know, pretty big gold leads now, really.
Vy chcete vidět ten burger, mě to ale spadne, tam je salát, který spadne.
Looking quite nice here. Chovy is back on the Ahri, and Chovy has some extra damage to work with. The picks are definitely going to be hard for HLE to avoid, and really, if you're looking at the comeback play, it's going to have to be another huge team fight at one of the objectives to get themselves back into this game if they are going to do so, and they don't have a lot of time to do that with.
Dobrý tak.
Deadly Flourish only hits the Hens, not really that big of a deal. Peanut now jumping in for a little bit more. Paze could get out.
Majo! Nemají ho!
Paze still alive for now. They're trying to dive into him. They finally get the shutdown, but now Zeka's got to be careful. Equalizer comes
Kamo, jak broken je Real. Ty pičo, Chovy, ty dodge, dva. Ty vole, viděli jste ty sidestepy na Shuriken a na Relkle?
It's too dead on HLE, and Zeka is trying to get away. Canyon with the flash in for the fear, and Keen won't let him get out. The weirding just puts him into the dirt as a TP puts Gen.G right back in a spot for more objectives, more gold, and more of a lead against Hanwha.
Hanwha committed so much to try and make that fight happen, but Gen.G more than happy to take it back against them. The TP comes in from the Akali on the bottom side, and Peanut tries to get the connection here onto the Hens, doesn't quite hit, then goes forward on towards Paze, but Zeka goes over the wall, misses his E, his shuriken flip, so doesn't immediately get back onto Paze, has to use the perfect execution to get back into the fight, and then just doesn't have a huge amount of damage to try and finish this off. The equalizer does a lot of work, but Keen is able to focus down the light. Viper is playing catch up this whole fight, trying to see if he can get into position. But with Canyon and Keen there, he just can't really get the damage off he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, the whole plan there was get the ultimate onto Paze and immediately delete him. But as you say, when you break that combo, if you don't hit the E, not going to be able to do it quick enough. And then Gen.G punished so quickly. Nice response from them. They even got an objective in addition to chasing down the extra kill.
Gen.G, 4,000 gold ahead, 90 seconds until the next Drake spawns, and it just feels like the opportunity for HLE to come back into this game is disappearing minute by minute. Lehens unafraid to walk up and set that ward down. As you can see, HLE again forced back, trying to defend the tier 2.
Delight trying to hide on the bush there at the back. You can see Chovy was checking it with all of his spells, but doesn't quite hit. But eventually they get the ward down. Delight has to back away. But it's Keen pushing in this top side, spreading Hanwha thin across the map once more. And with Dragon in 50 seconds, you've already got the control you need as Gen.G to pick up that soul for yourself. Hanwha desperately needs something. Maybe that Infinity Edge for Viper is enough, but they need so much to work in their favor in this next fight.
Well, let me remind you of a game state just an hour ago where Gen.G was poised to essentially lock the game in for themselves. They had a great pick, they were heading towards the soul, and then Delight changed the entire of the game. I feel like if you're Gen.G right now, that's got to be in your mind, and they know they need this approach to be clean with 15 seconds left on the timer before that soul spawns.
It's funny because I know that play is going to be reference all tournament long now. Here we go.
You better believe it.
Mysnul to je a nemá... To nevypadá moc dobře, to nevypadá moc dobře. To nevypadá dobře. Ten se tam vykoupal, ale stejně oni prostě, oni zabijou, než zabijou Kalistu, tak je zabije prostě celý ten tým. A Aurora teď fakt dává hrozný bombický, vole. Ale tohle bylo jako mega špatný engage od Gen.G. A hry netrefila Charm to.
Wait, Lehens is Leona. He's tanky enough. It's fine. Doran wants to get out. Doran going crazy there. Looking for trophy. All right, that's he knows the game is slipping away, and so he wants the miracle play. You know, he wants to be able to try and do something crazy.
A Nocturne ult byla bad.
Gen.G, Nocturne lights out. Leona ult stuns up the Rel. They go immediately onto it. Just Lehens is like, fine, Delight, you beat us last game, really nicely played, we're going to take you out.
It's also just Keen on the backline. He puts so much threat onto Viper because everyone is diving forward, but he just locks Viper up. Viper flashes off the wall, he follows over. Doran is late to going back towards him. And you can see he never gets opened up with the curtain call. That's how that Jhin is supposed to operate in this composition. Everyone goes forward, he stays way back in safety and just fires from afar, but it's Keen putting that pressure, disrupting the Hanwha game plan.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of value out of the Aurora pick. Plus, this time around, Gen.G, in order to enact this game plan, give away the Yone. So the Yone card is also not in the game. Very important card.
Já mám Alkanovou podložku.
on blue side this time around.
A kapnul jsem si omáčku na ní.
This Baron here should be burned down. HLE time is really running out for them, so you know their desperation meter is just like through the roof now. We kind of already saw it with the Doran play, but you know, they're just like any sort of play that even looks half good, we should just go for it.
I mean, half is better than the chance that you're going to have just sitting and giving everything over to Gen.G at this point. As Keen can immediately just walk back away as soon as he sees HLE trying to defend these brushes, defend this vision. Elder won't spawn for another 4.5 minutes, but for the next 2.5, it's Baron in possession for Gen.G.
Kdo by dělal trenéra Prety nebo brácha? Pokud by byl jenom jeden trenér, což pochybuju, tak brácha. Pokud by byl víc trenérů, tak proč ne oba? Tím víc trenérů, tím víc Adidas.
So for the moment, Hanwha desperate to make something happen, but I just think they're running out of time.
Keen just putting in the work on the tier 3 turret.
Come
all
on,
alone, all by himself, all uninterrupted. That tier 3 turret's already gone. Canyon's over the wall, ready with a paranoia. Gen.G just waiting, biding their time. They know they don't have to force anything. The game favors them so heavily at this point. HLE still just scrambling, trying to defend.
And how frustrating is this got to be as Hanwha? Like this slow, methodical pace from Gen.G, where it's a death by 1,000 cuts, and now those cuts continue to rain down underneath the tower.
There it goes, the dive is
Zase ale Freeman Reload, ale tentokrát Rumble ult přišla pozdě.
But Gen.G are not believers here today. Doran getting dove by Lehens. A little bit more damage would get it done, and finally the burn.
Třeba kdyby tam byla o něco líp ohozená ta Rumble ultimátka, tak by to možná pak
They might have lost Canyon, but they get the tier 2 turret. They get +1 on the kills in the fight.
Again, even with the tower there, they'll go straight through the front line. Gets a little dicey as they dive really deep, and the tower is still standing for the beginning of that fight, but in the end, still further progressing their march towards the Nexus. Still get the tower, get the extra kills too, and here it is. They actually got them both with the weirding, caught Viper in it too, and so Canyon went into
Byl zvláštní ten flash ult od Aurory.
And then it gets a little dicey as far as keeping him in, and Lehens tried to follow, and because Lehens is able to have the ignite there and actually finishes off the extra kill onto Doran, they are still able to move forward with it.
His coach's expressions are just fantastic.
Yeah, it's really great.
Já normálně si musím začít jít zvařit sám. Jak si teďka 2 dny objednávám Volt, nebo 3 dny, tak já úplně cítím, jak umírám z toho přesmaženého jídla a nezdravého jídla. A to se snažím objednávat krom dneška burgeríku, zdravější jídla. No i
for that objective, and now it's sub 2 minutes until the Elder spawns. I feel like if you're HLE, This is it. It's a Hail Mary play at Elder Dragon. It's the one thing that could bring you back into a spot where you could win the fight if you steal it away or something. Other than that, this one's pretty much zipped up for Gen G.
I mean, we all expect Gen G to finish out this game and to win, but
Dneska jsem měl nějaký natáčení, tak jsem nestihl ani gym, ani si
I
uvařit.
would try and proffer the idea of Peanut go in front of Delight, because Peanut is Vi and you can use your ultimate to actually still get the engage and go immune. Even if they go on you, you can try to immune some of their CC, but Peanut really has to step in front of Delight, I feel like, to be the first layer of it, because fight after fight after fight, Gen G are just taking out the Rel before Rel gets to have any sort of effect. And so even though your chances are very low and you're so far behind, you're out-itemized, I think you have to try and like immune the go.
Prečo si nekúpiš niekoho, kdo ti navarí? Nikolás, my nemáme otrochy, my nežijeme, vole, 18. nebo v kolikátém století. A já chápu, dělám si prdel. Dám si prdel z tebe, dělám si prdel. Je to drahý moc. Mít vlastního kuchaře.
Well, it is total control over the enemy jungle here for Gen G. They will steal the enemy blue buff as well. They'll sit down all this vision. The Elder's gonna spawn in 30 seconds. You can see the recall for the Rabadon's death cap from Keen, who now
Proč nemáš holku, co ti navaří? Protože já vám nechci ukazit představy, ale v dnešní době kluci vaří líp než holky. Dnešní normální holka si dělá pedikuru, manikuru a pak se 10 hodin dívá na TikTok. Vaření nepřipadá v úvahu. To neumí. Uklízet to taky neumí. Jsou výjimky, tak 20% žen vaří i peče a mají to rády, ale to jsou výjimky.
Oh, Lehan's immediately with a flash engage going after Viper, but he ain't gonna find
okay, insta-kill. Tohle byl dobrý engage, tohle byl hodně pěkný engage. Tak, máme tady 3 gamesky a Gen G. Bylo tuhle hru vidět, že nechcou riskovat. Hodně to bylo vidět, jak oni tu první hru měli pod kontrolou a první hru vyhrávali. Tak furt bylo ale vidět, že tu, jakoby, že ví, že to posrali tu první hru a proto hrajou tu druhou hru tak strašně slow and steady.
What a game for Lehens too, this one. Gen G, the steamroller, going to even this one up and take game number 2.
All that's left is the structures falling down. I'm so glad our LCK Finals rematch is not just gonna be a clean sweep.
Dnešní muž sedí 20 hodin u PC, kouká na holku a šere volt. Hey, you ain't wrong!
You always knew to being back on red side now to make the small adjustment, actually banning out the Yone, and it seems like the way that it is going now, they should have the momentum, they should have the upper hand, but HLE have been able to upset them before, and now it's time to do it once again. There's the Yone.
Yone, okay. Gen G to fakt zabanovali toho Jonáše. Okay.
Put Viper and Delight in awkward spots from the get-go, so do you try and get rid of some of that early aggression or even take it for Viper early himself so that then he can have a bit more control? But there's just so many question marks, because even down to things like the Aurora, more than likely still going to be open. Is that something a
Proč jsem ládoval tu zmrzlinu po cestě, bylo to vidět. Tam byl jeden kousek čokolády ulomený, tak jsem ho vracel, jsem ho zatlačil do té zmrzliny, aby nevypadl po cestě. Maokai, Ziggs, okay.
I think it gets slammed here, steal it away.
To bylo v zrcadle? Ježišmarja.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, never mind. They're going for the Smolder instead.
Smolder first pick.
It's going to be a Keen Aurora again then.
Kolik mám kilo? 81 kilo. Bulku, to se ztratí ta lžička z mrzlinky. Aurora Nocturne zase. Ale Zeka teďka piknul Smoldera. A mně přijde zrovna Aurora Nocturne. Kolik měřím? 195 cm.
Right, like I thought that was huge, the way that they were able to get those advantages with it offensively and defensively. But there you go, Dagda, you're right on the money. They're going back to basics. They're going back to Sejuani for Peanut.
Yeah, and it looks like the Gnar.
Aurora Nocturne, Gnar, Sejuani, Smolder. Nevím, borci. Aurora Nocturne. A teď reálně, ten strop tady, to jsou novodobí baráky, má 3 metry, OK. A to je až ke stropu. To je až ke stropu, jo, tady to. Je to ke stropu. A sleduj. Sleduj.
And so it's, it's a lot on Viper to deal with that, and Zeka to deal with that, and with him being on the Smolder now, definitely is going to be such a heavy target. But Gen G, they came into this one with a very clear game plan, and they are not deviating.
Now, what I'm really curious about for this game, and we'll learn a little bit more about potentially the answer to this question based on the last couple of picks. Last game we were talking about how Gen G had all these dominant lanes.
Hej, oni prostě pikou Ahri Nocturne.
Ahead in every lane.
Aurora every game. No matter what.
I feel like if you're looking at that Aurora again, if you're looking at a potential problem where you could be behind in multiple lanes, I'm expecting to see it. I don't want to see it, but I'm expecting to see it.
Yeah, I think so as well, and especially since we're probably going to get Jinban coming through here.
Kajsa Ezreal, tak Kajsa Viper je dobrá Kajsa. Kajsa je hlavně i safe AD, ona si, jak má invis a jak má ult, tak se dokáže zachránit sama.
The Mega Gnar level 2 as Doran, then TP down and still have your effect where you get to control that and come out with an early lead like we saw in game number 1 for Hanwha, whereas Keith
Ahri
ended up getting
Nocturne,
a little bit pushed
Aurora je
out
takový,
in that initial
to je fakt tak annoying comp to play against.
Ezreal, Kajsa, 4 bans, 4 marksmen.
Ashe, Kalista. Co vemou 4-5. Teď by tady mohli střelit Rel, zase klasicky. Jak můžu být veliký jako ty, hodně špenátu.
Threat of the Nocturne for the engage and the incredible utility of the Paranoia. Expecting our supports to go.
Ale teďka to Kintu Aurora hrál mnohem líp. Leonu!
And all right, that's what they're going to go ahead and lock in first, put some priority on that Leona.
Kolik to má win? 9 win, 4 loss? Leona?
I mean, I guess they could deviate a little, but they already have the
Leona potřebuje Nautilus treatment, reálně. Jak je Nautilus squishy, tak Leona musí být taky squishy. To má tak moc CC, že ty prostě jdeš in a neumřeš nikdy. Tady by se celkem hodil Alistar jako možná Hanvě, než Rel. Tady chcou disengage totiž. A tak Rel může piknout no matter what, hej. Renata na disengage, OK. OK, to je taky good. Ale oni mají dost možností, jak to dodžnou. Ahri může ultnout evasty ult, Aurora může ultnout evasty ult, Nocturne má spell shield na tu Renatu ult. Co piknou teď za AD?
For them because then you have the
Twitch!
For actually dealing with
Ty vole! El Rato. Tady to musí být asi lane swap, ale Twitch Leona je strašně špatná linka.
You get the sneaky Twitch plays in addition to the map control that Gen G have been able to set themselves up with, and the coverage of a Nocturne does seem even scarier.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The fact that you've got the
El Rato, no. Míč. Ale ta linka proti Varusovi Renaty vůbec není to je to je takový výšek, že to fakt jako musí lane swapovat, podle mě. Kdo vyhrává, pokud lane swapnou Twitch Leona a budou v pohodě z toho lane swapu, tak jejich draft je mega annoying a OP.
Not only do I like the late Twitch here to be able to pull off the sneak plays and the roam plays, but with the nerfed Smolder, like I really feel like Chovy Ahri is going to have an impact, and they are going to be able to take control early. Canyon, as soon as he gets his level 6 on the Nocturne, it has been play after play for them.
Okay, so I'm looking it up. Hayes has a lifetime professional total of 1 Twitch game.
Yeah, but it was a dub.
Is a win. That is important. 100% win rate Twitch is the pick here in this deciding game for who's going to quarterfinals now and who's got to keep fighting as we move forward in the Swiss stage.
Oh, he's
HLE
hiding.
back on the blue. Oh, he's already there. Paige just creeping around. All right, nothing to be found.
I thought he'd open up, but they didn't want to give away too much. Now Pays will just kind of wander away from this one. But I do think the downside of Twitch is that you don't have as much push in the lane when you look at comparative, especially the Hail of Blades on this map. There's like will be the first that we're going to get as well.
Kuby,
So
díky.
Cooldown on his Q should be up. They could go again.
Lane swap, lane swap, lane
how
swap.
heavily you want to go on this though.
Ale jak obvěz je, že to bude lane swap.
Lane swap again, maybe, but I don't think you want to.
Proč to nemačujou, kámo?
I think it's actually, sorry, Gen G were going for the lane swap because, again, I think your lane phase as Twitch just isn't strong at all here.
Just go ahead and give it up.
Já se fakt divím, že to nemačou ten lane swap.
Yeah, I mean, your scaling
Že
is
třeba
so
neblind
good with Twitch,
swapnou,
when you have
chápeš?
your ultimate, your range, very useful against what HLE are showing here. So definitely agree with it. Let's see how much they have to give up. Seems like no one is even going to stick around and try and steal away a camp from the enemy side. They're just agreeing, fine, lane swap. Should have even jungle start, both of them just on their own, quote-unquote, own Raptor side of the map with top side there for Gen G being their control with the duo. And again, they have done the normal supports mid here to get their level 2 top laners with their AD carries.
I do think, though, that the introduction of Smolder into the mix here has kind of put a bit of a time mark towards
Máš
Gen G.
value z
Like,
toho, že
yes,
zůstaneš na
Twitch
botu,
has
máš
great
free
scaling,
pláty, to jo, ale
but I do think
ta
Smolder
value
just
podle mě není
pops
tak
off so
velká
well in
jako
the later portion of the game, especially with the
Twitch
lock-on
Leona
for
je
the
unplayable
whole
linka.
lot of
Reálně by
Gen G
třeba
this
měl
year.
10 CS, když Varus má 40,
Something
chápeš?
to go your way early to maybe even set a pace and turn into this assassination Twitch instead. Otherwise, I think in that mega late game, I do favor Hanwha in this situation. And when Gen G were playing so slow, so methodically in the last game, I think they actually need a bit more burst opening in this game.
I don't know. I love Twitch late game. I think I'm just gonna fully invest. I'm going all in. I'm like, Twitch with range late game just feels so. Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, Lehens walking down here underneath the
Napoukovali ho bez ani jednoho hitu. Tohle je free dive, hej. Aurora je easy to dive. Už možná chápu, proč nechtěli swap. Protože Aurora ve swapu je úplně useless. Reálně. Jako reálně Aurora není Xante. Xante se nedá divenout level 2, ale Aurora je úplně useless. Takže to actually chápu. Už mi to dává smysl. Tady je huge, že napoukou tu levnu tímhle stylem, bez toho aniž by dostali tower hit.
Canyon has a bunch of camps to pick up. I mean, we're watching the replay now. It's really nicely done on the first dive to juggle the tower aggro. It's only here in the second one.
Reálně ty lane swapy by neexistovaly, kdyby nerfnuli Xanteho. Když nad tím přemýšlím.
But I really want to get back to live and see what's done with the jungle camps. Yeah, this is what I'm expecting because Sejuani cleared his own red side first and then went for the dive immediately. Canyon got to cross over.
28 CS Nocturne.
Very nice lead on jungle here, and especially with a Nocturne, that can cause again your whole team to have to pay that price. So while you do get the dive off, and the first kill was without response, getting the second kill plus it actually gave over some jungle advantages there. Gen G, like it's not all bad.
Yeah, I think Canyon is the big benefactor for Gen G, but for Hanwha, Viper coming in, surrounded Dirk already completed, gives him a ton of control on this bottom side.
Nocturne bude hodně ahead, bude mít hodně rychle level 6,
In the spot side matches is you're playing against the Renata. She's not exactly a heavy engaged champ that can look to
Gnar je full level ahead, ale je tam velká vlna.
on towards a fight as maybe Lehen's actually looking for one, but I think you're in an okay position to just continue to farm his pays with that lack of engage support.
Nice little bit of a combo damage there between Delight and Viper's piercing arrow. That serrated dirt can lead to such an annoying trading pattern in the lane because it's just so easy.
Kdo vyhraje tuhle hru, tak postupuje do quarterfinals.
Doing a little bit of proxy farming. Keen needs to stay underneath the turret.
Tak jakmile vyfarmí Keen tuhle vlnu a tu další, tak uvidíme, jak moc jsou behind. Protože teďka je full level behind, ale jakmile to vyfarmí, tak uvidíme. To bude asi půl levelu, ne?
On the stacking already so far. Pretty easy to hit that 125, giving you the AoE on the Qs to continue accelerating the speed of the farming there. Already has the first tier purchased as well after both mid laners have.
Kdo vyhraje, tak jde do 2-1 braketu a bude losovat další soupeře do BO3.
That you're constantly moving as quickly as possible towards those larger breakpoints.
With the experience lead for Canyon, we're looking already at the Void Grub, so he can go Krugs over here towards it. And since bottom lane, they've actually kept both Delight and Viper down there for HLE, it really does seem like, well, even though they're actually getting the push, Lehens is already halfway up the river, so Lehens is kind of deciding right now.
I think it's single Void Grub against Canyon 6 as well.
Well, yeah, which way Lehens wants to go. So I think Lehens is doing a good job kind of hovering here. He could go to either. And Canyon jumping on these Void Grubs, he does have his smite ready.
Existuje situace, ve kterém se jí vyplatí v rovnou hru pro strategickou výhru v braketu. Jo, ale ne tady.
I just love what they did there. You know, Lehens hovering in the river, in the fog of war, as the wave is slowly pushing into them. They're not really concerned about it. Canyon finishes up the Krugs, goes right over to those Grubs. They finish it off, and that's how you really, even though the dive bottom did cost some extra gold, you leverage experience in this game, and his experience early on to just be more impactful than gold a lot of the time.
I mean, when you think about it, a champion leveling up gets what, 300 to 400 gold in stats.
Kofala, to ještě nebude studený.
You're making up for that difference in gold as long as that champion's involved in the scrap.
I feel like especially for junglers too, and junglers like Nocturne that can then affect the rest of the map. So we'll see what he does with his first ultimate.
How long does it take for Can to explode in Freezer? 4 hodiny to tam musí být, aby to explodovalo. Varus nemá flash, ale... Actually? A ještě můžou fightit? Nocturne je hrozně silný. Tady je úplně vidět těch 20 CSD, kámo. Že Nocturne má level 6 tak early, tohle je huge. Tohle je huge.
It feels good. Canyon's there first. Canyon's able to close the distance with his ultimate. And even though Peanut arrives late, that's just level 5 Sejuani. Great. Not really concerned. And so they get the early jump onto Viper.
Že má prostě tak strašně early level 6 Nocturna.
Successful move for Gen G. And Canyon able to really leverage and snowball the early stages. But here's another look at the start.
Oni ani nemají 6, Nocturne je 6. Wow. A to, že Leona má 2 kvéčka, je... Kamo, jak šílený je tak cooldown Leona kvéčko. Ona dá EQ a pak má za 4 vteřiny znova kvéčko. To je celkem crazy, ne? Level 7 Nocturne, ty vole.
You know where they're all running off the back of the van and they're just holding onto it, just following along wherever.
I'm coming too. All right. Well, Canyon continues to leverage his jungle advantage into a dragon as well for Gen G. It's been the story all 3 games of objectives.
3 grubíčky a ještě ty vole drák hoši. Ojojoj.
Alright, Gen G pushing towards top here, just continuing to try to grab as much plate money as they can. Meanwhile, Canyon, he's got the first Drake, he's got the first...
Kolik stakáčků? 72. To není Showmaker Smolder. Ten actually má taky.
Having a great showing in this third one of the series. The gold is back to even as Viper and Delight try to maintain control and push. Here in this bottom lane, Zeka still doing a good job, making sure that you DPS the minions equally, farm them all up with the Q, get max stacks, and he's already up to 82 of those.
Chovy now moving down to cover bot lane though. They still want to try and get this rotation for the Grubs in a minute's time. You already obviously have...
Za minutu bude 6 grubů, to budeš muset fightit asi. A když se na ten fight podíváš, tak Gnar není silný vůbec, Sejuani taky ne. Jako nikdo reálně není silný, ale Varus má full item. Liges, děkuji za Primos, děkuji. Varus je hodně silný. A nemá flash, takže ho můžou zase naflashovat. Problém je, to je hrozný problém, kámo. Varus má sice jako opportunity, lethality item, ale oni můžou Nocturne a hry ult a je dead, no matter what. Protože nemá flash. Nocturne je early game champ. Vyhrává proti skoro všem junglerům 1v1 early game, ano. Ale jinak jako je to... Má Renatu ale, to jo, ale jak říkám, Ahri má způsob, jak avoidnout Renatu ult. Nocturne má způsob, jak avoidnout Renatu ult. Aurora má způsob, jak avoidnout Renatu ult.
Down in bottom lane, Chovy versus Doran really shouldn't turn into a whole lot, I wouldn't think. Both of these two have unleashed teleports ready to go to join any fight.
Ahri má půlku HP, to možná je dost důležitý pro ty grubíky, hej. To, že Ahri nemá TP, teda Ahri nemá půlku HP. Ale fajtí, dívej, ult na něj, čus. Ta Sejuani ult! To bylo huge! Viděli jste tu Sejuani ult? Ale prostě on si nezahraje. Twitch tady úplně monster dobrá pozice. A tady je to GG, tady Chovy, tady flashne, získá killy, získá shutdowny. Ještě tam může zabít prostě Delighta v pohodě. Nešel? Aha, zajímavý. Ale ta Peanut zaultil fakt výborně toho Nocturna. Fakt výborně. On normálně zaultil Nocturna ještě předtím, než letěl. Takže dostal stun v letu. A Twitch, kámo, Twitch tam hitoval 3 lidi ultimátkou. A vidíš to, prostě to ADčko si a dívej na tu Seju, to je huge, to je fakt huge. Ale ty vole, Varus si vidíš to, jak jí zaultil v tom, to je insane. Ale prostě Twitch, boom a Varus si nezahraje. Tady jako hituje 3 targety, 4 targety, kámo, Twitch. Insane. Insane. 3-0 Twitch, 6 grubů.
All of the Void Grubs, all 6 of them, plus you got the early dragon as well.
A ještě mají draka.
Just so much objective control for
jakoby draft-wise ta hra je over, draft-wise. Teď Hanwha, aby vyhráli tuhle hru, tak budou muset Smolder musí získat 3-4 itemy. Reálně. Ani to jim nepomůže. Já si reálně myslím, že ta hra je už lost. Nebo takhle, viděli jsme Genji, že udělali chybu potom tu Game 1. Ale zase tu Game 2 si hodně hlídali a hráli hodně safe, aby tu chybu neudělali. A Twitch je tady fakt good, ten lane swap mu strašně pomohl, že vůbec ani není behind.
Just 10 seconds prior. Do you bother committing for the Drake if you know your opponents are going to just zerg the Herald? That's what I want to see.
I do. Okay. I'm taking that Drake every day of the week. That is mine. I'm going to keep stacking because then you think
like a true jungler.
You think about what it's going to do for you in a little bit of the long term, not the immediate future. Like, okay, fine, you know, if a Herald is going to like get you an outer tower or something, but the Drake is going to give you the possibility of drawing the opponents out onto the map, where then you get to use Nocturne, Twitch.
On tady zabije teďka toho. Reálně mohl zabít.
Look, you can't go anywhere on the map. It's going to be somebody
Nocturne ult?
jumping out.
Má ult? Má, ale Doran má ten.
It's a good rush. Yeah, Meganar saves in there. You just cast the wall up, transform immediately on the spot. If that Narbar would have been
6 grubíků má TP, nemá TP. Tady můžou vzít to, můžou vzít celou turetu s Nocturnou. Když teďka oba dva budou hitovat věž, tak vemu celou tu turetu. A to je first tureta, ne? Jo, to je first tureta, takže 300 goldu pro zase pro Nocturnu 300 a 300 pro Twitche, to je hrozně huge. Ta frustreta dává strašně moc goldů. A zrovna to máš na Nocturnu a na Twitche, na 2 targety, který fakt chceš, aby se feedli. ADC je OP, no jasně, jo. Proto Varus, co má nejvíc itemů ve hře a nejvíc gold ve hře, tak nemůže nic dělat tu hru. Já bych řekl, že Twitch je OP. Twitch honestly je hrozně OP. Málo kdo ho hraje. Ale když Twitch je prostě feedlej, tak je... Jsou champové AD carry, který ještě, jako když jsou feedlí, tak jsou hrozně, jakože dají 1v9. Dřív těch champů bylo strašně moc a pak dostali ponerfováno. Ale třeba takový Kog'Maw, když je feedlej 3-0, tak dá 1v9 skoro vždycky. Twitch taky. Twitch ještě víc než Kog'Maw. Kdo je další ty AD carry, co dají takhle 1v9? Samira, když má 3-0, 4-0, tak dá 1v9. Shutdown. Vayne moc ne, Kajsa jo. Jinx taky moc ne. Felios taky moc ne, Draven taky moc ne. Zeri býval ten champ, ale teďka je nerfnutý do sraček. Zaya je tak trošku, no. Ale není to tak, Twitch je fakt extrémní případ. Nila? Si myslím, že Twitch je momentálně nejlepší jako to hyper carry, nebo takový ten AD carry, který když se feedne, tak dá 1v9. Tristana momentálně není vůbec dobrý champ. A i když má 5-0, tak nedělá nic. Ten champ. Oni ho nerfnuli do sraček. Ty vole, to fakt. Co? Jakmile postaví Twitch Hurricane, Blade a AI, tak to bude huge. A bude, já nevím, jestli bude stavět třetí Blade, teda AI. Asi jo, ne? And with 2.5 minutes until Dragon, there's plenty of moments to get push out, maybe shift over towards that top side, or even again look for these plays on towards the overexposed Smolder, who's just down on this bottom side. Like, even look at where Peanut is on the map. All he wants to do is sit here beside this Smolder to guarantee that Zeka can farm without being under any sort of duress. Herald je teďka hodně weak, hej, Herald je fakt nerfnutý hodně. Herald má vliv pro gamingu jenom když máš 5 nebo 6 grubů. Oni fakt nerfnuli strašně moc toho Heralda, no. Jako momentálně draci a Herald jsou takový jako a grubíci jsou OP. Už má Hurricane ten Blade, ten Twitch. Na Baxe, hej, na Baxe. Always way far ahead of objective spawning. They go so deep, set up their vision, try and keep their dragon priority alive and keep that threat building. Máš 6 grubů, takže tady když budou hitovat věž a oni na to neodpoví, tak ji zabijou. Kamo, sleduj ten damage do té věže. To ani nehitovali, je to na půlce. Smolder má hodně staků, tyjo, 194. Takhle se nezměnil tenhle Twitch build, tak on reálně Blade je nejvíc OP item. Jako hands down, já trošku se divím, že se nehrajou, nebo jako nedivím se, že se nehrajou Blade champové, protože mají nulový escape, jako je Kog'Maw a Twitch, ale Blade je hrozně silný item. Za mě prostě Blade je nejsilnější item, no. Však si měl ty midlanery, co stavil prostě Blade, Tristana Blade na vory. A hrál prostě Blade a byl si mega silný.
And kind of leverage the Nocturne vision even more, because you can just be so far out of reach of opponents.
Kalista se nehraje proč, fakt ona je nerfnutá úplně do sraček. Ty musíš hrát pixel perfect Kalisto, abys měl impact, i když je Blade OP.
Way ahead of time and see if they can get the advantage. HLE though, looking to fight back. They've got the brute force. They get their
Twitch má summoner spely.
First before transitioning into
Zeka má level 14, jo, to je docela dost dobrý. A bude mít 225 stacků tenhle fight. To je dost dobrý. Tady bude docela silný ten Smolder.
Hayes is still creeping around on the Twitch. Wants to make sure he can get that chance to open up. Keen will be the last one to join the rest of Gen G here in the bot side river. The Gnar separated from the rest of the team. Doran's about to transform back.
Mini, má minignár, tady poke od Varuse, Lehens dodgenul, ale Lehens je straight up dead. What? Twitch? Pane bože. Ty vole, Pace. Tady to byl free lose, by the way. Tady jako Genji, to, že Leona umřela, tady to Pace dal 1v9. Jako neuvěřitelně. Wow, bro. Jako legit tady Pace dal 1v9. Tady Leona okamžitě umřela, Nocturne ult byla úplně dog shit, ale tím jak Nocturne, nebo jako dog shit, tím jak Nocturne zaultil na hovno a začalo všichni fokusovat, tak si nikdo nevšimnul Twitche a Twitch tam prostě rozsekal všechny na hovna. Jako tady ten Twitch pick je tady to bylo fakt insane. Sleduj. Leona okamžitě umře, si začala sežovaný ult, ale umře okamžitě. A teď sleduj Nocturnu. To je takový blbej engage od Nocturny, protože okamžitě dostane one shot, ale oni musí one shotnout Nocturnu, nebo fokusou Nocturnu a on outflashne a Twitch to tam rozseká. Ještě nevidí prostě skrz toho, že jak OP to je, on ti reálně vypne vizi a ty nevidíš, že tě hituje Twitch, protože Twitch má větší range. Twitch 10 000 damage, jo. A to není poke. Prostě ty nevidíš, jak Twitch má ten spray and pray, long range, nebo jmenuje se to spray and pray, nebo ratata? Oni to měnili. Tak ty reálně nevidíš, kde je Twitch, protože tě hituje Twitch out of range. To je hustý kombo. To je hrozně annoying hrát proti Twitch, Aurora, Nocturne. Má ult za 30 vteřin, takže docela v poho. Co tady dělají? Pace tady zase lurkuje.
I'm sneaky! Bam!
Nemá flash. On neflashnul Gnar ultimátku Pace. Tady měl flashnout a dal by pentakill. Co? Proč nedal flash na tu Gnar ultimátku, tady by dal pentakill legit. Ale začínají být zase greedy. A hry nemá ult, není ve fightu a fightí bez něj. Byl ve stanu a neměl cleanse, však must flashnout ten stun. A cleanse měl, doslova ho použil v tom fightu, ne? Dívej. Má cleanse i flash. Tady je to pentakill. Wait, boom. Tady flashnout ten Gnar flash a dal pentu. Chovy tam byl, actually. Ale neměl ult.
The whole team is just destroyed right there. So again, the instant turn to immediately go for both of them. Flash used from Doran, but that was a very worthwhile flash.
The way that it looked, one auto kills two of them, and then there's not even enough for the remaining three guys to fight. It would have been a total wipe. Absolutely clutch to not let Paze get away with that. HLE doing everything they can to try to stay within striking distance in this game that, just like the first two, Gen G has been in charge of so far.
Co to je za čáry? Čáry Marifu?
Powered by AWS, seeing the split here and the way the last ones have gone. This one
Tak, Zeka teďka bude být třetí item. To začne být nepříjemný. Ale Twitch je dobrý do Smoldra. Hej, ty vole, poprvé vidím Nocturnu zaultit na sidelane, na toho. By the way. Tohle vidím poprvé. Na sidelane. Takhle to má dělat ta Nocturna. Ona ani nemá velký cooldown na tu ult.
Mom not going to save you from these bullies. No. They finish the job there. Smolder down, stops the stacking for now as well. Meanwhile, this match is just so hard for HLE to play, again, because there is so much of a possibility of these Gen.G 360-degree flanks coming from anywhere. You really have to have towers to help defend and control wards to help defend your movements. So anybody that's out like that on a side lane, that's a very repeatable thing we just saw, and that's why we keep hyping up this Gen.G map play available with this comp.
And when Zeka gets 360 no scope 30 seconds before Dragon's out, he needs to TP back.
Vás sere, že to je ta Nocturne. Ježíš, borci, get a life. Straight up, jako legit si vás sere, jestli to ten Nocturne nebo ta Nocturne, ty vole.
He just went mega too, so needed to clear it the way, but it means that coming into this, Hanwha have to buy time before this Gnar can have an impact. No flash available as well. Trent pays.
Okay, so the rapid fire cannon being completed for Zeka, I think is really big. Allows him to try to poke these guys a little bit before the hard commit comes out for Gen.G. But it's so scary since Pays can always be anywhere all at once. Not a good place to have to try to.
Tady to není. Vigre Twitch. Dívej, Twitch to zase. Twitch to zase chce zase to chce flanknout. Ale oni ho našli, oni ví přesně, kde je Twitch, takže je to pro ně jako takový. A nemá kvéčko teďka Twitch. A ty pouky s tím rapid fire, tohle začíná vypadat bad, hej. O, dobrý charm. Ale čus, tady je dead. Kámo, ten poke je insane, co mají. Ten poke s tím, to je insane s tím Smoldrem. Jak broken je Smolder? Wow. Dobrý poke. Oni musí, Twitch se nemohl nikde schovat, takže nemohl nikde jako, oni musí vědět, kde je Twitch, Hanwha, a potom
And this is why as this game starts to go on, it becomes more and more difficult for Gen.G to play. You don't really have a very tanky frontline that can immediately go
Smolder nedostal moc nerfů. Tristana a Corki dostali hodně nerfů.
Means you can play for these backline threats with the Varus poke, the Mom ultimate across the top. It makes it difficult for Gen.G to find these openings for Pays if they're not on the objective first.
And you don't get time to just stand around there at the fight because we saw how much damage the poke is going to do. You're going to lose out,
Proč Mágové nekupují Rabadon třetí nebo čtvrtý, protože je Zonia broken. Ten Zonia item je doslova broken. A mysnutý, chytnutý Viper. Tady ta Nocturna je nepříjemná. Tady tohle byl pěkný engage na Vipera. S tou Nocturnou. Ale nakonec neumřeli. Dobrý engage od Nocturny. Ten Nocturna, pánové.
The teleport seals the deal. Baron's the target. Gen.G already got it down to about half. Doran here on the front
Twitch. Ne, ještě neultí. To je huge, že neultí. Twitch má ještě... Aha, on nemá ult už dávno. Tohle vypadá hrozně špatně pro Gen.G. To vypadá hrozně špatně pro Gen.G. Ale Peanut, Canyon je bůh. Kámo. Canyon je bůh. Legit Canyon je bůh. Canyon vyhrál hru. Koukej, co koupil Ahri. Magi's na Ahri je core item. Change my mind. Ten Smolder je hrozně kámo. Varu Smolder, to je tak strašně annoying actually dohromady. Chovy tady putnul hrozně moc pressure na Hanvu. Chovy taky smurfí. Chovy Canyon dali 2v8 reálně. Tady ten fight. Ty vole, fakt pěkně to zahrál, jo.
Received by the rest of Gen G members, they pull it off.
The flash from Canyon was so sick as well. I like that. He just, please tell me I'm seeing this correctly. We did come out on top. But yes, Gen G outplaying in the moment, and now a Baron up a 4,000 Red Bull Baron power play.
Hele, jako ty pokud nehraješ na Magics na hry, tak jsi špatný hráč mimo. Protože ty máš 3 flashe na 40 vteřinovém cooldownu a pak máš ještě svůj flash. Jak můžeš umřít? A pak si můžeš postavit Zoniu. Jak můžeš umřít? Ty prostě umřeš jenom tehdy, když jsi bad.
Kofola donate 50 korun českých.
Ty vole, Kofola, už je vychlazená. Fakt?
And that's the thing, we focused a lot on like Canyon and Chovy in that fight, but it was Paze who assassinated Viper, who got him caught out with Canyon to start off that play that set this whole rigmarole in motion. And it's Paze that has really been stepping up on this Twitch to find those clutch moments. And Hanwha, you can tell they just aren't used to playing against that potential invisible threat, just lurking in the darkness.
Paze.
Able
to jump out, make a clutch pick. He's one of us. All right, can they close it though here? Gen G now with massive lead.
Oh, HLE walks way too close to the brush, and there's no way out for Delight with Renata down. That's your big anti-engage mechanism. That's your chance to try to turn it around if Gen G jump on you, and he's out of the picture. It's an easy Infernal Soul, no contest. This goes over to Gen G now, and I feel like Hanwha's chances have nearly completely disappeared.
Yeah, you're talking about nails in the coffin. They've got the nail gun out, and they're just spamming nail after nail after nail. Yep, that's gonna be
new Twitch coming in soon.
Twitch má teďka Mortal.
Another one bites the dust, and another objective here. So, who will next? Who will be the next one picked? It looks right now. Doran's gonna be the next one picked.
Am I allowed to bet? Is it too late?
I think the betting window. No, the betting window is closed on this one. That is it for Doran. 50 seconds on the respawn clock. Paze just creeping through the mid lane here, invisible, marking that ward that he just saw placed down. Runaan's Hurricane makes it so easy to farm up the wave as well. Paze now with the completed Mortal Reminder should just shred every single health bar on HLE. They're pushing that top lane with Chovy right now. They still don't have a whole lot of super
Zajímavý, že on postavil Mana means Spear of Sojourn. Žádný Trinity Force. Ten Smolder. Chovy 9 kill. Ty vole! Ty vole! El Rato! 3 auta taky všichni vymazaní. Takhle si představu AD carry, když je feedly. Twitch nebyl hraný v kompetitivu skoro nikdy, takže ho nenerfnuli. Furt je to OP, jak to bylo dřív. Takhle bylo OP každý AD carry, by the way. Každý AD carry takhle bylo OP dřív. Že když si byl feedly, tak si prostě dal 1v9.